Chapter 4584. Do you know where the god-defying warriors are? Lu Ming asked. Of course I know. In fact, many people know that the god Defiants are in the deep lake Abyssal Abyss. That's where the god Defiants gather. It's also where I've always wanted to go. I was planning to go to the deep lake Abyssal Abyss after breaking through to the virtual god realm. Hai Zong explained. Many people know. If the heavenly human race knows, why don't they eliminate them? Wait, is that place filled with the same terrifying light as the mine? Lu Ming asked. Brother Tianyun, you're so smart. Yes, the deep abyss does have that kind of light, so the gods. Bah, the heavenly human race can't eliminate them even if they know. They can only let them be. In fact, it's not just the deep abyss. Many places in the world have that kind of light. Hai Zong said. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. The more places in the stellar sky continent that had that kind of light, the better. The more places there were, the easier it would be for them to take action later. Hai Zong pointed the way, and Lu Ming led Hai Zong to the deep abyss. Lu Ming was extremely fast. They arrived at the deep abyss in less than half a day. There was a huge lake in front of them. It was said to be the largest and deepest lake in the stellar sky continent. The most peculiar thing was that the middle of the lake was divided into two halves by a huge abyss. The strange thing was that the water on both sides of the lake didn't flow into the abyss, as if it was blocked by some force. The abyss was very deep and dark. Lu Ming knew that it was the deep abyss. Let's go. Lu Ming brought Hai Zong and landed directly in the abyss of the deep lake. True enough, when he descended to a certain depth, that terrifying light appeared and launched a terrifying attack on Lu Ming. Qiuqiu wriggled quickly and turned into armor to cover Lu Ming. The surface of the armor was covered with ice spark silver, which successfully blocked the light. As for Hai Zong, as a member of the Yen race, he was unharmed. Big brother Tianyun is truly unfathomable. When Hai Zong saw that Lu Ming was unharmed, his heart shook violently. As far as he knew, the light was so terrifying that even the gods, the heavenly humans, didn't dare to touch it. That was why the god Defiants were allowed to gather there. However, Lu Ming was able to block the light that even the heavenly human tribe couldn't block. Fortunately, Lu Ming wasn't a heavenly human. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any deity Defiants. They would have been killed long ago. Very soon, Lu Ming and Hai Zong descended 100,000 miles and arrived at the bottom of the abyss. There was no lake at the bottom. It was very wide, and one could see caves on the walls on both sides. Lu Ming sent out his spiritual sense and could sense the aura of many life forms. Who is it? With a cold bellow, more than a dozen figures surrounded Lu Ming and Hai Zong. He's from my clan. When those people saw Lu Ming and Huang Xiaolong, they breathed a sigh of relief. Evidently, he had also considered Lu Ming to be a member of the Yen clan. You two don't look familiar. What are you doing here? Did those so-called gods send you here? Asked a middle-aged brawny man. His tone was harsh, but there was no killing intent. They were all from the same clan, so they certainly wouldn't kill each other, even though Lu Ming and Hai Zong were under the command of the gods. While those people were sizing up Lu Ming and Hai Zong, Lu Ming was also sizing them up. Given Lu Ming's cultivation level, with a sweep of his spiritual senses, the other party had nowhere to hide. Most of the people were at the true immortal realm. Only 3 of them were at the heavenly god realm. The one with the highest cultivation was the leading brawny man, who was at the 9th level of the heavenly god realm. With that sort of cultivation, he could be considered a top-notch expert in the Yen clan. We're here to join you. We don't believe in gods and want to overthrow them. Hai Zong quickly answered. You're also deities? You want to join us? The leading man asked 2 questions in a row. Yes, we are. Hai Zong nodded. Do you think we'll believe you just because you say that? That's right. Those so-called gods send people here every once in a while, pretending to be the deities. They just want to find out what we're up to, or even trick us into leaving. Let me tell you, it's impossible. You can leave. We won't kill you because we're from the same clan. The leading brawny man didn't say anything, but the others all shouted. We really don't believe in gods. Moreover, we know the great secret of gods. Please let us meet Ni Shintian. Hai Zong said anxiously. Ni Shintian was the leader of the deities. His real name was Qin Tian, but he changed it to Ni Shintian. On the way, Hai Zong introduced him to Lu Ming. Hai Zong's eyes lit up when he talked about him. Ni Shintian was Hai Zong's idol. According to Hai Zong, Ni Shintian was a legendary figure in this world. He had both strength and wisdom. If you want to meet Ni Shintian, you have to prove that you're deities. How about this? We'll give you a test. If you pass the test, you'll prove that you're deities, said the leading brawny man. What test? Asked Hai Zong. Bring it up. The leading brawny man waved his hand. Immediately, several men carried a statue out of a cave and put it on the ground with a clang. Is this a statue of a god? Asked Hai Zong. Yes, it's a statue of a god. If you break the statue, you'll prove that you're deities, and we'll accept you, said the leading middle-aged man. Hai Zong was a little surprised. Not long ago, Lu Ming asked Hai Zong to break a statue of a god. Now he was doing it again? Lu Ming's lips curled up. He looked amused. Seeing that Lu Ming and Hai Zong didn't say anything, the brawny man thought that they were really sent by a god because they didn't dare to do anything. Humph, I know you're the lackeys of those so-called gods. How dare you try to sneak in? How ridiculous. If it weren't for the fact that you're of the same race and have been bewitched by those so-called gods, I'd kill you right now, said the leading brawny man coldly. Guys, I think you've misunderstood. I was just a little surprised because I broke a statue of a god not long ago. Hai Zong quickly explained. He stepped forward, took out a sword, and slashed at the statue. This statue was far less hard than the one Hai Zong had broken in the village. The sword directly cut off the head of the statue. Lu Ming was even more straightforward. He threw a punch and shattered the body of the statue. Seeing the two of them attack, the eyes of the dozen or so deities lit up. Ha ha ha, it seems that you're all deities. You're on our side. The leading brawny man laughed. The others also smiled. Those who truly believed in the gods would never break the statues of the gods, because that was their belief. They couldn't do it even if they pretended. Chapter 4585. Since Lu Ming and Hai Zong could break the statue, they must be the god-defying ones. Looks like you're one of us. Alright, follow me. I'll take you to see god-defying heaven, the leader said. He then turned around and walked toward one of the caves. Lu Ming and Hai Zong followed him. At the bottom of the abyssal lake, there were all kinds of caves. Behind these caves was a dense network of tunnels. The god-defying ones lived there. There was a mysterious light that prevented the heavenly human tribe from coming in. They walked along one of the tunnels. Along the way, they saw more than 10 god-defying ones guarding the tunnels. All of them were heavenly gods. Soon, they reached the end of the tunnel. There was a huge underground cave at the end of the tunnel. However, there were only 3 people in the cave. There was a young man in his 20s, an old man, and a middle-aged woman. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The cultivation level of the 3 of them had reached the Divine King realm. It was the first time that Lu Ming had seen divine kings from the Yen tribe on the stellar sky continent. Moreover, there were 3 of them. Especially the young man in the middle who seemed to be in his 20s. He was at the peak of the 9th layer of the king god realm. Such a cultivation base was not even worth mentioning in the primitive universe. However, it was incredible for the Yen tribe on the stellar sky continent. Greetings, leader. The burly man who led the way bowed respectfully to the young man in his 20s. Lu Ming knew that the young man was God-defying heaven. Of course, the young man looked like he was in his 20s. However, he was much older than that. According to Haizong, God-defying heaven was at least 10,000 years old. However, even if he was 10,000 years old, it was still amazing for him to reach the peak of the ninth heaven divine king realm. Moreover, the Yen tribe on the stellar sky continent didn't have a long history. Their cultivation history was even shorter. They couldn't be compared to the big tribes in the primitive universe. Some of the bigger forces in the primitive universe had more than 100 stellar years of inheritance. They had a perfect cultivation system, guidance from seniors, and abundant cultivation resources. However, the Yen tribe on the stellar sky continent didn't have any of that. They had to rely on themselves to find their way forward, overcoming all obstacles. Under such conditions, Ni Shintian could reach the peak of the ninth heaven of the God-King realm in 10,000 years. He could be considered a genius of his generation. No wonder he could become a legend of the stellar sky continent. If this kind of person was placed in the primitive universe, with abundant resources and a perfect cultivation system, his achievements would definitely not be low. We saw your voice transmission just now. It's the two of them, right? Against the heavenly Tao looked at Lu Ming and Haizong. It's the two of them. The two of them broke the god statues one after another. There's no way they're spies sent by the god. The man leading the way said. Yes. Against the heavens looked curiously at Lu Ming and Haizong. His eyes were filled with surprise. From Haizong's body, he could vaguely feel a sense of pressure that made him want to submit to him. However, Haizong's cultivation level was only at the peak of the empty god realm. It was strange that Haizong could make him feel this way. What surprised him even more was Lu Ming. Because Lu Ming gave him the feeling of a bottomless pit, unfathomable. He could not detect Lu Ming's true cultivation level at all. I heard that the two of you have a big secret about the god to tell me. I'm curious. What's the secret? Against the heavenly Tao. Actually, the so-called god is not a god at all. It's just some more powerful living beings. And they're not living beings of our world. They're living beings of the outside world. Before Lu Ming could speak, Haizong beat him to it. In front of his idol, Haizong could not stay calm. He wanted to perform well. Oh, living beings of the outside world? Are there really other worlds? Against the heavens whispered. However, whether it was against the heavens or the others, their expressions were normal. They were not as surprised as Haizong had imagined. Haizong thought that against the heavens and the others would be as shocked as he was when they heard the news. But they were not. Aren't you surprised? Haizong asked. There's nothing to be surprised about. In fact, I've speculated about it for a long time. I just wasn't sure. Against the heavenly Tao. You've speculated about it for a long time? How did you know? This time, it was Haizong's turn to be surprised. It's simple. It's been a long time since our Yen clan came out of the Mountain of Ancestors. We've never heard of or recorded any information about the gods. But tens of thousands of years ago, the gods suddenly descended. It's very strange. Powerful beings like the gods, and so many of them appeared at once. It's impossible for them to appear in this world for no reason. So I speculated that there might be other higher-level worlds, and those so-called gods live in such worlds. They accidentally discovered our world and invaded to enslave us. Against the heavenly Tao. Haizong was dumbfounded. Lu Ming was also a little surprised. He could not help but think more highly of Against the Heavens. Against the Heavens was really not simple. His talent and wisdom were both extraordinary. But thinking about it, it made sense. Against the heavenly human tribe, creating the Against the heavenly human tribe and dealing with them for so many years, how could he be simple? If not for his low cultivation and insufficient strength to fight against the heavenly human tribe, the heavenly human tribe would have been wiped out in the stellar sky continent. Lord against the heavens, you're actually only partially right. In fact, there are many worlds in this world, and countless races live in them. Those gods are called the heavenly human tribe. Haizong immediately told them everything that Lu Ming had told him. This time, against the heavens and the others were a little dumbfounded. Although against the heavens had speculated at the gods might come from other worlds, what Haizong said was really unbelievable and beyond his knowledge. It took a long time for them to react. What you said is very interesting, as if it's true. But I'm curious. How do you know all this? Did the gods tell you? Against the heavenly Tao. It's very simple. Because I'm also from another world. At this time, Lu Ming spoke. His voice was not loud, but it was like thunder in the ears of Against the Heavens and the others. Boom! 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 Against the Heavens, the old man, and the middle-aged woman all burst out with powerful auras, and their bodies also revealed a strong murderous intent. You're also from another world. You're indeed in cahoots with those gods. The old man shouted angrily. Don't be impatient. Lu Ming said with a smile. He pressed his palm, and an incomparably powerful force was produced. This force was not something that Against the Heavens and the others could resist at all. Under the pressure of this force, they could not help but sit back down in their chairs. Chapter 4586. As for the burly man who led the way, he was forced to sit on the ground by Lu Ming's terrifying power. Your power, Against the gods and the others looked at Lu Ming in horror. At this moment, Lu Ming was like a river of fire in the sky, giving them an extremely violent and terrifying feeling. This kind of aura was simply irresistible. It was as if they were facing a god. Against the gods, the old man, and the middle-aged woman had seen a god with their own eyes. The aura that Lu Ming was exuding at this moment was as terrifying as a god. Could it be that Lu Ming was really one of the gods? But why was Lu Ming's life aura so similar to theirs, and why was he able to enter here? Their hearts sank, and there were still a lot of questions in their minds. Don't worry, I'm not a member of the heavenly human tribe. On the contrary, I'm a mortal enemy of the heavenly human tribe. I'm from the human tribe. Speaking of which, the Yen tribe is also part of the human tribe, Lu Ming said, and told them in detail what he had told Haizong before. Since he needed the help of Against the gods and the others, he had to make them believe in him completely. This way, things would be easier later. If they had doubts in their hearts, they might fail later. After Against the gods and the others heard this, they were dumbfounded and fell into deep thought. Lu Ming did not disturb them, knowing that they needed time to digest this. After a while, Against the gods and the others came to their senses. So it's a senior from the human tribe. Against the gods greets the senior. Against the gods was very straightforward. He got up and bowed to Lu Ming. You're welcome. Lu Ming waved his hand, and a force spread out and helped Against the gods up. Senior, why are you here today? Against the gods. I'm here because I need your help. Lu Ming said. You need our help? Against the gods was a little surprised. In his opinion, Lu Ming was so powerful that he could rely on his strength to fight against the heavenly human tribe. Their strength was too weak, and the gap between them and the heavenly human tribe was too big. What help could they provide? Before I tell you how to help, let me show you something. Lu Ming said. Then, he took out the rest shadow stone and injected forbidden power into it. The image of how the celestial race used the power of faith to sever their lifeline appeared. After Ni Shintian and the others had finished reading, Lu Ming explained, the ancestral mountain contains the lifeline of the Yen tribe, which is related to the fate of the tribe. The heavenly human tribe used the power of faith of the Yen tribe to cut off the lifeline. Damn it, damn it. Turns out the reason Celestial Clan collected the power of faith was to use it here. Their intentions are so sinister, wishing to sever our clan's fate." The old man and the middle-aged woman yelled furiously. Ni Shintian's face was gloomy as well. He originally thought that the heavenly human tribe only wanted to enslave them. He didn't expect that what the heavenly human tribe wanted to do was far beyond his imagination. Severing the Yen clan's lifeline, severing the Yen clan's fate. This was an attempt to destroy the Yen clan. We must stop the celestial race. Otherwise, our race will be in danger. Ni Shintian said in a trembling voice. "This is what I need your help with. I can make many copies of this video. As long as we can find a way to let the majority of the Yen tribe see it, their faith in the heavenly human tribe will collapse. The heavenly human tribe won't be able to continue collecting the power of faith and sever the lifeline of the ancestral mountain." Lu Ming said. "That's right. As long as the majority of the Yen tribe sees this video, their faith will definitely collapse. There is a way. In 2 months, the Yen tribe will worship the ancestral mountain. At that time, everyone will gather in the nearby big cities. We just need to play this video in public and let everyone see it." Ni Shintian's eyes lit up. "However, the stellar sky continent is vast and there are many big cities. Do you have enough people to act in all the big cities?" Lu Ming asked. "Yes." Ni Shintian nodded and said, "The defying God isn't limited to the deep lake abyss. We have people all over the world. They usually pretend to be believers of the gods, but they are actually defying gods secretly. They are gathering information about each other. There are still 2 months before the worship of the ancestral mountain. That's enough time for us to prepare. Alright, then let's get started. I'll make a lot of copies of the video as soon as possible. Hai Zong, you stay here. I have to leave first. I'll come to you later," Lu Ming said. After all, he wasn't a member of the Yen tribe. Although he could resist the light for a short time with Chiochio's protection, it was impossible for him to stay here for 2 months. After exchanging a few words with Hai Zong and Ni Shintian, Lu Ming left the deep lake abyss and went outside. He found a secret place and waved his hand. A pile of breath shadow stones appeared. Breath shadow stones weren't considered precious treasures in the primitive universe. They were common goods and everyone would carry some with them. Over the years, Lu Ming had killed so many opponents. The breathing shadow stones in his possession had long piled up like a mountain. He took out the breath shadow stone and activated the video on it. Then, he controlled hundreds of breath shadow stones at the same time to record the video. Just like that, the copy of the video was complete. Lu Ming was very fast. Before long, he had copied over 10,000 breath shadow stones. This number was definitely enough. The Defier also started to move. Many of them set off from the deep lake abyss and scattered to every corner of the world. They disguised themselves as ordinary members of the Yen tribe and pretended to believe in gods. The heavenly human tribe would have a hard time discovering them. After copying the breath shadow stones, Lu Ming took out a desolate crystal and began to cultivate. He had obtained more than 800 desolate crystals in the ancestral mountain. He had used up 200 to break through to the 2nd level of the Divine Lord Realm, so he had more than 600 left. 600 desolate crystals definitely wouldn't be enough for Lu Ming to break through to the 3rd level of the Divine Lord Realm. Lu Ming calculated that he would need about 300 desolate crystals to break through from the 1st level of the Divine Lord Realm to the 2nd level of the Divine Lord Realm. Then, he would need at least 10 times more desolate crystals to break through from the 2nd level of the Divine Lord Realm to the 3rd level of the Divine Lord Realm. In other words, he would need at least 3,000 desolate crystals for Lu Ming to break through to the 3rd level of the Divine Lord Realm. This was only Lu Ming's estimate. He would have to see how many desolate crystals he would actually need to cultivate. However, if he refined more desolate crystals, he would definitely be able to improve his cultivation. Although refining 600 desolate crystals wouldn't help him break through to the 3rd level of the Divine Lord Realm, improving his cultivation would be of great help at a critical moment. One desolate crystal after another was refined by Lu Ming. A few days later, Lu Ming entered the deep lake abyss again and gave the copied breath shadow stones to God-defying heaven for him to make arrangements. Now, everything was ready. The heavenly human tribe wouldn't be able to continue collecting faith power once the day of the ancestral mountain arrived. Soon, all 600 desolate crystals were refined by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's cultivation reached the late second level of the Divine Lord realm. I haven't reached the peak yet. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. Chapter 4587. According to his previous calculations, 600 desolate crystals should be enough for his cultivation to reach peak second-level Divine Master. In that case, 3,000 desolate crystals would be enough for him to break through to third-level Divine Master. But now, the number of desolate crystals he needed for his cultivation had exceeded his own expectations. In total, 3,000 desolate crystals would not be enough for him to break through to third-level Divine Master. He needed even more desolate crystals. This was not good news for him. Desolate crystals were hard to find and extremely precious. They could only be found in the universe ruins. Divine Master experts would usually refine them directly, and each piece they used was one less piece. This was because treasures like desolate crystals could only be continuously produced in the desolate continent of the previous era. The universe ruins no longer had the conditions to produce desolate crystals. This meant that one day, when the universe ruins were completely excavated and all desolate crystals were excavated, Divine Master experts would find it difficult to raise their cultivation. Without desolate crystals, first-level Divine Master would be the peak of cultivation. It would be difficult to raise one's cultivation level after breaking through. Desolate crystals, there's probably a lot of desolate crystals in the ancestral mountain. Unfortunately, I can't enter. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. He could not do what the celestial race did and cut off the lifeline of the ancestral mountain to enter. This was equivalent to destroying an entire race. Moreover, the Yen race was also part of the human race. At worst, he could just search for desolate crystals elsewhere. Time passed quickly. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming's cultivation was still at late second-level Divine Master. As for Qiuqiu, although it was cultivating with all its might, it was still at third-level Divine Master and had not reached fourth-level Divine Master. This day was the biggest festival of the Heavenly Star Continent that occurred once every 10 years. Almost all the Yen race members had to rush to the nearby large cities to worship the ancestral mountain. This was a festival that the Yen race had passed down for dozens of stellar years. It was already ingrained in their bones and souls. Even gods could not make them give up on this festival. Moreover, this festival would only take a few days at most. Moreover, it happened once every 10 years, so the celestial race could not be bothered with it. If they meddled too much, it might affect the Yen race's faith in them. Lu Ming used the great imitation art to disguise himself as a Yen race member and arrived at a large city near the abyssal abyss. He wanted to see if the plan was going smoothly. This big city was called Lake City. It was one of the top big cities in the entire stellar sky continent. On this day, all the flame race clansmen in the villages and towns around Lake City had gathered at Lake City. In an empty area north of whose city, there was already a sea of people. In the center of the open space, an incomparably huge altar had already been set up. Let the ritual begin. An old man announced. Everyone knelt down, their mouths silently muttering strange words. These were the words of sacrifice. The ritual lasted for about 3 hours before it ended. Once the ceremony was over, they could disperse. Everyone, wait a moment. Suddenly, a loud shout reverberated throughout the entire place. Then, several figures flew up and stood in the sky. At the scene, everyone looked at these people curiously, not knowing what they were going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, there is something about the gods that I would like you to take a look at. After a middle-aged man finished speaking, a crystal stone appeared in his hand. Lu Ming recognized that this was precisely the resting shadow stone. It seemed that these people were all god-defying. The middle-aged man injected power into the resting shadow stone. Immediately, the video of the heavenly human race cutting off the lifeline with the power of faith appeared. Also, what they said at that time was clearly heard by everyone present. All the flame race clansmen stared at the video. Gradually, their chests heaved up and down, their bodies trembled, and their eyes were filled with confusion. After a while, the video ended. How can this be? How can this be? Are these the gods? They're destroying the mountain of ancestors. They're cutting off the lifeline of the mountain of ancestors. They asked us to believe in them and pray for them so that they can collect our power of faith and cut off the lifeline of the mountain of ancestors. How can this be? They're gods. There was an uproar. Countless people were discussing and yelling in disbelief. They felt that their faith had collapsed. It was very uncomfortable to believe in something that they had believed in all their lives. Once it collapsed, they would need time to adjust. No, that's not right. How do we know if this is true? Maybe it's fake. Are you God-defying? Are you trying to slander the gods? Someone yelled. Some die-hard fans of the gods still chose to believe in the gods. This is the video. It's absolutely true. How can we fake it? Besides, you've seen the video. Those so-called gods showed such powerful power. If that power isn't real, how can we fake it? One of the God-defying shouted. Besides, we'll know if it's fake when we go to the mountain of ancestors. Besides, when the lifeline of the mountain of ancestors was cut off, did you have a feeling that a disaster was coming? Another God-defying shouted. A feeling of a disaster? Yes, I did. It was on that day, me too, countless people yelled. Their timing actually matched up. Almost at the same time, they had a feeling that a disaster was about to befall them. The lifeline of the mountain of ancestors is the fate of the flame race. It's connected to all of us. When the lifeline is cut off, all of us can feel it. Don't you believe me now? A God-defying shouted. His voice was heard everywhere. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. He knew that he had succeeded. As expected, the confusion in the eyes of many flame race members gradually disappeared. It was replaced by anger. Bullshit. What gods? They're all fake. They're lying to us. They won't lead us to prosperity. They'll only bring us destruction. I won't believe in them anymore. Me too. Let's go back and smash their statues. Countless members of the Yen clan roared and scattered like a swarm of bees. They went back to smash the deity statues. That was happening all over the Heavenly Star continent. In the giant cities on the Heavenly Star continent, countless flame race members lost their faith in the heavenly human race. They smashed the statues angrily. Yiling Tianshou and the others had been living near the mountain of ancestors. They were waiting to collect enough power of faith to cut off the second lifeline. At this moment, the power of faith that they had gathered suddenly disappeared without a trace. This startled all of the celestial tribe members. What's going on? What's going on? Yiling Tianshou yelled. Lord Tianshou, not only did the power of faith we collected disappear, but so did the follow-up power of faith. The channels connecting us to the statues were also cut off. A fifth-level Divine Master Heavenly Human Race Elder reported. Send someone to find out what's going on. Yiling Tianshou yelled. Chapter 4588. Soon, many heavenly human tribe elites were mobilized. They spread out and flew toward the surrounding big cities. The heavenly human race soon found out the truth and reported it to Yiling Tianshou. What? Most of the flame race saw us using the power of faith to sever the lifeline. Damn it. Lu Ming. It's that damned Lu Ming. Yiling Tianshou roared, his eyes brimming with cold killing intent. He immediately thought of Lu Ming. Lu Ming had disguised himself as Yi Chuyu and secretly entered the ancestral mountain to dig out a large number of primal crystals before escaping. It was most likely Lu Ming who had secretly recorded the scene of them severing the lifeline. He had not expected Lu Ming to play this trick and cut off the source of their power of faith. Lu Ming, don't fall into my hands, or else I'll make you regret it. Yiling Tianshou ground his teeth, his killing intent reaching its peak. He wanted nothing more than to skin Lu Ming and chop him into pieces. Lord Tianshou, what should we do now? The 5th-level God Lord Elder asked. Yiling Tianshou had 2 5th-level God Lord subordinates. One of them had fought with Lu Ming in the ancestral mountain, and the other was this elder. Kill. Immediately send experts to the Heavenly Star continent. Kill the Yen clan as soon as you see them. This continent doesn't need them anymore. I want to kill all the Yen clan members and leave only a few of them who still believe in us. At most, we'll spend 10,000 years, no, just several thousand years, and the flame race will once again spread across this continent and provide us with power of faith. Yiling Tianshou coldly said, his face cold and sinister. The 5th-level God Lord Heavenly Human Race Elder felt a chill in his heart. Yiling Tianshou wanted to exterminate all the flame race. It was impossible to count the number of flame race members living on this continent. It was in the hundreds of millions. For Yiling Tianshou to exterminate so many flame race members, his methods were truly ruthless. However, this plan was indeed feasible. As long as they exterminated the flame race and left only a few who still believed in the heavenly human race, it would be fine. It did not matter if there were none. They could leave behind a group of infants. The infants did not know what the heavenly human race had done, but with some guidance, they would become loyal believers. Once these infants grew up, they would continue to reproduce. In a few thousand years, the race would spread across the continent and provide them with an endless supply of power of faith. It was just an extra few thousand years. To them, a few thousand years was nothing. Remember, don't waste the blood of the Yen clansmen. Collect all of it and bring it back. Yiling Tianshou continued ordered. Yes. The 5th-level God Lord Heavenly Human Race Elder went to carry out the order. However, Lu Ming had long expected this move from Yiling Tianshou. Therefore, he had already discussed countermeasures with God-defying heaven. When the faith of the Yen clansmen crumbled, they would arrange for people to lead the Yen clansmen to a nearby place where they could hide. For example, the 36 mines could hide a large number of flame race clansmen. There was that type of light in the mine, so the celestial race couldn't enter. As long as they hid inside, they would be safe. Tianshou Ming Tianshou also had some underground caverns like the Abyss Lake. There were many underground caverns like the Abyss Lake in the vast heavenly star continent. Some of the underground caverns were extremely huge, like an underground world. These underground caverns were filled with terrifying light and were the best hiding places for the flame race. These huge underground caverns could hold a shocking number of people. Before the people from the Heavenly Human clan arrived, many people from the Yen clan had already entered those hiding places. As a result, the people from the Heavenly Human clan arrived empty-handed. However, not all of the flame race members had managed to hide in time. The Heavenly Human race changed their plan when they found nothing. They sped up their search. Many flame race members still fell into the hands of the Heavenly Human race. Lu Ming also returned to the Abyss Lake to meet up with Tianshou Ming Tianshou. How was it? Did the plan go smoothly? Lu Ming asked after seeing Tianshou Ming Tianshou. All in all, it went smoothly. Most people's faith collapsed after seeing the video. Then, we arranged for them to be transferred to the hiding places that the Heavenly Human race couldn't enter. However, there were still a few people who were loyal to the Heavenly Human race who didn't want to believe us. They still chose to believe in the Heavenly Human race. There were also some who didn't manage to hide in time and were captured by the Heavenly Human race. But all in all, we still won. Tianshou Ming Tianshou. Lu Ming nodded. Only a few people fell into the hands of the Heavenly Human race. He believed that they wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. It was fine as long as most of the flame race members were still alive. Even if the heavenly human race continued to instill ideas in their descendants, most of the flame race members were still alive. They could go out from time to time and show the flame race members the video. Naturally, their faith wouldn't be firm. Later, it would be difficult for the heavenly human race to absorb the power of faith. Overall, their plan was a great success. Next, Lu Ming stayed in the abyss of the deep lake. He didn't plan to leave the heavenly star continent for the time being, because he hadn't finished digging out the ice fire star silver. Lu Ming planned to stay here first and let Qiuqiu dig out the ice fire star silver. He would leave when it was almost done. Yiling Tianshou definitely had a large amount of ice fire star silver in his hands. However, Lu Ming wasn't a match for him. He really couldn't snatch it. However, Lu Ming didn't plan to inform Fei Huang. He also had his own selfish motives. Yiling Tianshou and the others' goal was the Mountain of Ancestors. They definitely wouldn't leave in a short time. When the time came, he would leave the stellar sky continent first and go to other places to adventure and improve his cultivation. When his cultivation improved, he would come back and kill Yiling Tianshou. Then, wouldn't the huge amount of ice fire star silver on Yiling Tianshou become his? Yiling Tianshou really didn't know how much ice fire star silver he had. According to Qiuqiu's estimation of the size of the mines, Yiling Tianshou definitely had more than 500 kilograms of ice fire star silver on him. 500 kilograms of ice fire star silver was enough to refine thousands of source-level divine weapons. This was an unimaginably huge resource. Lu Ming naturally wasn't willing to give up easily. Qiuqiu secretly went to mine, and Lu Ming cultivated in the Abyss Lake while waiting. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. On this day, an uninvited guest came to the Abyss Lake. He was sent by the celestial race. This person was a middle-aged burly man. Clearly, he was a die-hard fan of the celestial race and was loyal to the celestial race. In the vast stellar sky continent, there were countless Yen clan members. It wasn't surprising that there were some such people. When this person came, he specifically asked to see Lu Ming. "See me." Lu Ming's eyes flashed, and he came to an empty underground space in the Abyss Lake. At this time, there were already many people in this underground space. There were at least hundreds of people from Defying God Sky, Sea Sect, and others. In the crowd, a middle-aged burly man stood proudly. Chapter 4589. How dare you defy the gods? Don't you know that this is a serious crime? The gods will punish you sooner or later to make you repent. The middle-aged man said loudly, looking high and mighty. What bullshit gods? Don't you know that those so-called gods want to use our power of faith to cut off the lifeline of our race? How dare you believe in them? An old man roared. So what? As the people of the gods, it's only right to make some sacrifices. It's our honor to be able to sacrifice for the gods. The middle-aged man said. Shameless. Many of the deities looked angry. The middle-aged man was hopeless. What's your purpose here? Against the way of the gods. I'm here to see Lu Ming. I have something to show you. The middle-aged man said. I'm right here. At this moment, Lu Ming spoke and strode over. He's really Lu Ming. He used an alias before. Against the gods and the others were surprised. Lu Ming didn't tell them that was his name. However, they didn't say much despite their doubts. What do you want to show us? Show us. Lu Ming said. Well, since everyone is here, let's take a closer look. The middle-aged man said, and a crystal appeared in his hand. A shadow stone. Lu Ming recognized it at a glance. The shadow stone glowed, and an image appeared in the air. It was a heavenly human in the image. Yiling Tianshou. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. The person in the image was Yiling Tianshou. Yiling Tianshou's face was gloomy and full of murderous intent. Lu Ming, I know you're behind all this, but do you think I can't cut off the lifeline and enter the mountain of ancestors just because you cut off the source of my power of faith? How naive. Let me show you something good. Yiling Tianshou said, and the image changed to another place. There was a huge crater here, and the surroundings of the crater were densely packed with runes. Some heavenly human tribe members were standing around the crater. They were holding some flame tribe members in their hands. With a wave of his hand, the heavenly human celestial tossed the Yen clan members into the deep pit. Immediately, miserable shrieks came from the deep pit. A bloody mist filled the air before it was sucked back into the pit. At that moment, the video started moving again. It moved towards the deep pit. Slowly, the scene inside the deep pit appeared in the video and in front of everyone. Some of the deities vomited when they saw what was in the pit. Even Enai Shintian and the others had ugly expressions on their faces. Many of them were trembling with anger. The scene in the deep pit was too terrifying. Those were all flesh and blood, the flesh and blood of the Yen clansmen. It was clear that a spirit formation had been set up in that deep pit. Once the people from the Yen clan were thrown into it, they would immediately turn into flesh and blood. In the middle of the flesh and blood, 3 weapons were stabbed into the ground. They seemed to be refining the power of the flesh and blood of the flame clansmen, turning incomparably red. At this moment, the scene changed again, and Yiling Tianshou reappeared. Did you see that? I am using the flesh and blood of the Yen clan to refine weapons. Actually, let me tell you a big secret. To cut off the lifeline of the ancestral mountain, not only the power of faith is useful, but the flesh and blood of the Yen clan members are also useful. If you refine the flesh and blood of the Yen clan members into the weapons, you can still cut off the lifeline. Lu Ming, you might be curious why I didn't use the flesh and blood of the Yen clan members to cut off the lifeline in the past. That's because even if I killed all the Yen clan members on the continent, there might not be enough to cut off 9 lifeline. That's why I decided to collect the power of faith first and cut off the lifeline. After cutting off 4 or 5 lifeline with the power of faith, I will use the flesh and blood of the Yen clan members to cut off the lifeline. That's the only way to be foolproof. Ha ha ha. Having said that, Yiling Tianshou laughed maniacally. Damn it, despicable heavenly human tribe, I'm going to kill them. I'm going to kill them. The other people from the Yen clan roared angrily. Their eyes were bloodshot and they were about to explode from anger. They couldn't wait to fight the heavenly human tribe. Don't be rash. Against the god of heaven roared and stopped everyone. Lu Ming, did you see that? Although most of the people from the Yen clan have gone into hiding, we still managed to capture many of them. There are no less than a few 100 million of them. The flesh and blood of these people will be used to refine weapons. It's enough to sever a lifeline. Huh, don't you want to save them? Come on, come to the ancestral mountain and save them. Yiling Tianshou said, and the screen dimmed. Apparently, that was the end of the recording. Let's go to the ancestral mountain. At most, we'll fight to the death. It's better to die fighting than to live like a coward. Let's go. The other deity Defiance roared and became restless. They couldn't wait to attack the mountain of ancestors. You can't go. Lu Ming shouted. Why can't we go? Do we have to watch our compatriots being killed and their flesh and blood refined? That's right. The heavenly human tribe is too despicable. We can't stand it. At most, we'll die. Everyone shouted. Idiots. Lu Ming shouted. What did you say? Everyone glared at Lu Ming. If they weren't afraid of Lu Ming's strength, they would have rushed forward and fought with Lu Ming. Everyone, calm down. Don't be rash. The defiant god yelled. The defiant god had a high prestige among the defiants. Everyone quieted down after he spoke. I know you're not afraid of death, but have you ever thought that you'll only add more flesh and blood to the heavenly human tribe and cut off more of their lifelines? Lifelines are related to the fate of the Yen clan. Cutting off more lifelines will only lead to the extinction of the Yen clan. Are you trying to destroy the Yen clan? Lu Ming's cold voice resounded. All the defiants were frightened. Their faces turned pale and they broke out in cold sweat. Yes, Lu Ming was right. They weren't afraid of death, but once they went to the ancestral mountain, they would only add more flesh and blood to the heavenly human tribe and cut off more lifelines for the heavenly human tribe. That would be indirectly helping the heavenly human tribe destroy the Yen clan. They were scared and almost made a big mistake. Meanwhile, the defiant god looked terrible. He said, "Senior Lu Ming, if the heavenly human tribe can send people here, they can also send people to other places. If other people see this, they might rush to the ancestral mountain in a fit of anger." His words caused the complexions of the other Yen clansmen to turn deathly pale. Yes, in the other underground caves and the 36 mines, there might not be such clear-headed people stopping them. If the flame race people there saw such a scene, they would probably be incomparably angry, lose their minds, and charge towards the ancestral mountain. Then, the heavenly human tribe would have a lot of flesh and blood of the Yen clan to cut off their lifelines. Chapter 4590. Lu Ming frowned. He had thought of this as well. Obviously, Yiling Tianshou no longer hoped to sever all the lifelines. He only wanted to use the flesh of the Yen tribe to sever as many as he could. He would first obtain the treasures inside to increase his strength. Perhaps he would leave behind a few loyal Yen tribe members and continue to nurture them. Their descendants would continue to believe in the heavenly human tribe and continue to use the power of faith to sever the lifelines. "Don't worry, I will make a trip," Lu Ming said. He planned to go to the ancestral mountain. Although it was obvious that Yiling Tianshou was waiting for him to go to the ancestral mountain, and this trip to the ancestral mountain was likely to be very dangerous, Lu Ming still planned to go. Although he could leave without going to the mountain of ancestors and come back after his strength had increased, he could still do so. However, he couldn't just stand by and watch as countless Yen clansmen died. After all, the Yen tribe was also part of the human tribe. This was too tragic. Of course, Lu Ming wouldn't die for nothing. He had a trump card and might have a chance to counterattack. If it really didn't work, Lu Ming would choose to retreat. He wouldn't really die for the Yen tribe. If he couldn't save them, then there was no other way. He could only retreat first and come back when his cultivation increased. "Senior Lu Ming, thank you so much for coming." Against the gods was overjoyed. The others were also overjoyed. In their opinion, Lu Ming was also from another world and had a powerful cultivation. He should be at the same level as the heavenly human tribe. Only Lu Ming could deal with the heavenly human tribe. They finally saw a glimmer of hope when Lu Ming made a move. Lu Ming nodded and didn't say much. He secretly sent a message to Qiuqiu and asked it to come back. Qiuqiu's cultivation had reached the 3rd level of the Divine Master Realm and could be a great help to him. Especially after Qiuqiu turned into the mirror, it was even more mysterious. This trip couldn't be done without Qiuqiu. "Tianyun, no, brother Lu Ming, I'll go with you." Hai Zong walked up to Lu Ming and said. "No, you won't be of much help even if you go." Lu Ming shook his head and refused. "I can. I always feel that I have a strange feeling about the ancestral mountain. Maybe I can help brother Lu Ming," Hai Zong said. His eyes were resolute, as if he had to go. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He thought of the red stone that Hai Zong had fused with. It was said that Hai Zong's grandfather had obtained it near the Mountain of Ancestors. It was very likely that it came from the Mountain of Ancestors. Hai Zong had fused with Crimson Stone and had a shocking bloodline. Perhaps it could really play a miraculous role in the Mountain of Ancestors. But first, we have to go to another place. Lu Ming stepped into the air and headed toward the ancestral mountain. This time, he did not use the great imitation art to change his appearance. There was no need. Sure enough, he did not meet anyone from the heavenly human tribe along the way. Obviously, the heavenly human tribe had gathered in the ancestral mountain. At this moment, in the valley between the first and second lifeline of the ancestral mountain, Yiling Tianshou sat on a throne and watched the other heavenly human tribe members busying themselves. The heavenly human tribe members continued to use the flesh and blood of the Yen tribe members to refine divine weapons. When they were almost done, they would be controlled by several heavenly human tribe members to cut the second lifeline. The divine weapons refined from the flesh and blood of the Yen tribe members were indeed effective. A huge gap had been cut in the second lifeline. Directly using the flesh and blood of the Yen tribe members to cut the lifeline was extremely fast. There was no need to wait slowly like when collecting faith power. Using the flesh and blood of the Yen tribe members to cut the lifeline, they just had to kill the Yen tribe members. Boom boom boom. A few more heavenly humans controlled a few scarlet swords and slashed at the second lifeline. The gap on the second lifeline was getting bigger and bigger. When the energy of the flesh and blood on the divine weapons was exhausted, they stopped and continued to refine. Lord Tianshou, do you think that Lu Ming will come? A fifth-level divine master heavenly human tribe elder asked softly beside Yiling Tianshou. Let's see if his heart is ruthless enough. If he is not ruthless enough, he will come. If he is ruthless enough, he will not come. I hope he will come and get rid of this scourge in one fell swoop. Yiling Tianshou said. His killing intent was extremely strong at the mention of Lu Ming. Moreover, even if he doesn't come, the other Yen tribe members will come. He can't stop them. He is still too inexperienced to fight with me. Yiling Tianshou sneered. Everything was under his control. Although there were some deviations in the process, the general direction would not change. The result would not change either. He would definitely obtain the opportunity in the ancestral mountain. As time passed, the gap in the second lifeline grew bigger and bigger. Finally, with a bang, the second lifeline was cut. Great! Yiling Tianshou was overjoyed. Break through this mountain. Yiling Tianshou ordered. Immediately, some heavenly human tribe experts attacked the second lifeline, trying to break through the mountain and enter the back of the second lifeline. At this moment, he's here. Lu Ming is here. A loud shout came from outside. He's here. Yiling Tianshou's eyes lit up. Everyone, retreat and let him in. Yiling Tianshou ordered. Immediately, the heavenly human tribe outside retreated to the valley between the first and second lifelines. Then, a young man with a tall and straight figure walked in step by step. This person was Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I didn't expect you to really come. You are quite bold. Yiling Tianshou sneered. Of course I came. I came to kill you. Lu Ming said coldly. Kill me? Ha ha ha, you are quite bold. You think you can kill me? Yiling Tianshou laughed, his voice filled with mockery. He was so powerful that no matter how heaven-defying Lu Ming was, he was nothing in front of him. He was a seventh-level divine lord, and he was a peerless monster. His fighting strength far surpassed that of a heavenly human of the same level, let alone the other races. Lu Ming wanted to kill him despite being so many levels higher. How laughable. A mere first-level divine lord dares to boast so shamelessly. Lord Tianshou, let me kill him. A fifth-level divine lord asked from Yiling Tianshou's right. This was the fifth-level divine lord that had fought with Lu Ming last time. He had been brooding over the fact that Lu Ming had escaped last time. Let me do it myself. You might not be able to kill him. Yiling Tianshou stood up from his throne, a powerful aura spreading out. I can't kill him. He's just a first-level divine lord. The fifth-level divine lord said. Lu Ming, you're hiding your cultivation. Your cultivation isn't just first-level divine lord, is it? Right then, Yiling Tianshou looked at Lu Ming. Chapter 4591. Lu Ming's eyes flashed at Yiling Tianshou's words, but he said nothing. Back then, you dug up quite a few desolate crystals here. Based on the pits you left behind, there were at least 700 to 800 of them, and your cultivation was only at the first level of the Divine Lord realm. 7 to 800 desolate crystals. Even if you have a forbidden body and need a lot of energy to raise your cultivation, it should be enough for you to break through to the second level of the Divine Lord realm. Am I right? Yiling Tianshou said with a confident smile. The other celestial race experts were enlightened by Yiling Tianshou's words, especially the large man at the fifth level of the Divine Lord realm. He was well aware of Lu Ming's strength. Last time, Lu Ming was only at the first level of the Divine Lord realm, but his fighting strength was astonishing. If Lu Ming broke through to the second level of the Divine Lord realm, he probably wouldn't be any weaker than him. If he still believed that Lu Ming was only at the first level of the Divine Lord realm, a moment of carelessness might cause him to suffer a great loss. When he thought of this, he felt a lingering fear. Brat, you're so despicable. You actually hid your cultivation to trick me. The large man at the fifth level of the celestial race roared. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered to pay attention to this large man. Instead, he looked at Yiling Tianshou. One had to admit that Yiling Tianshou was very smart. Lu Ming had indeed planned to hide his cultivation so that the celestial race would look down on him and use this chance to get rid of several celestial race experts. He hadn't expected Yiling Tianshou to see through him. However, this was fine. This wasn't Lu Ming's main plan. Lu Ming's main plan was something that his opponent would never be able to guess. Boom! Lu Ming stopped hiding and revealed his true cultivation. The energy of the second level of the Divine Lord realm filled the air. At the same time, Qiuqiu also flew out, revealing the energy of the third level of the Divine Lord realm. A second level of the Divine Lord realm and a third level of the Divine Lord realm. You dare to come here with such strength? Very good. Lu Ming, once I capture you, the rewards I'll receive will be greater than the rewards of the entire Heavenly Star continent. Yiling Tianshou's eyes were filled with a fiery glow. His body was also shrouded by a layer of light. A terrifying aura filled the air. He took one step at a time toward Lu Ming. Little ball, do it. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Qiuqiu. At the same time, he charged toward Yiling Tianshou. At the same time that Lu Ming rushed out, Qiuqiu had already transformed into a mirror. Its original form was a source-level divine weapon. A pillar of light filled the sky, enveloping Yiling Tianshou. Being enveloped by this light pillar could make people fall into an illusion. Even if it was Yiling Tianshou, his mind was also in a trance. Qiuqiu's current cultivation had increased by one layer, reaching the third layer of the Divine Master Realm. The pillar of light it used was naturally much more powerful. However, Yiling Tianshou's strength was too strong. Wanting to use this kind of light pillar to thoroughly make Yiling Tianshou fall into an illusionary realm and be at the mercy of others was absolutely impossible. Qiuqiu's cultivation was still too low. However, what Lu Ming wanted was also not this. As long as it could affect Yiling Tianshou slightly, it would be enough. Heaven Breaker. Lu Ming executed the Heaven Breaker style, turning into a spear light, stabbing toward Yiling Tianshou's glabella. At the same time that he executed this move, Lu Ming opened the door in his body. That yellow mud road emerged. That ball of pitch-black fog was moved out by Lu Ming, adhering to the tip of the war god's spear. This was Lu Ming's true killing move. In the blink of an eye, the spear light approached Yiling Tianshou. Get lost from me. Yiling Tianshou roared, his eyes bursting with a resplendent light. Although he was affected by Qiuqiu, he did not truly fall into an illusion. At this time, he erupted with all his strength, wanting to destroy the light pillar that Qiuqiu shot out. Boom! There were two types of supreme heavenly powers in Yiling Tianshou's body. One was the power of heavenly punishment, the other was the power of heavenly extermination. The two supreme heavenly powers interweaved together, forming a destructive storm that swept out in all directions. At the same time, Yiling Tianshou punched toward Lu Ming, colliding with the tip of the war god's spear. Boom! Berserk power swept over. Lu Ming's body trembled violently, flying out backward like a cannonball, slamming heavily into the mountain wall of the first mountain range, smashing out a large pit in the mountain wall. Lu Ming coughed up large mouthfuls of blood, his complexion somewhat pale. That move just now, he was severely injured. The gap between him and Yiling Tianshou was too great. Under normal circumstances, if the two people clashed head-on in one move, Lu Ming would be insta-killed. Therefore, that was why he brought Qiuqiu along. Although Qiuqiu's attack just now did not make Yiling Tianshou truly fall into an illusion, it also had a great impact. It made the other party's mind dazed for a moment. In that moment of daze, Lu Ming's attack approached. Even if Yiling Tianshou reacted and launched a counterattack, it was also in a hurry and could not erupt with all of his strength. Therefore, Lu Ming was only injured and not killed. This was already enough. Lu Ming's plan was already completed. Lu Ming originally did not intend to rely on this move to kill Yiling Tianshou. He knew very well that even if he and Qiuqiu joined forces, they would absolutely not be able to do anything to Yiling Tianshou. His true goal was to inject that ball of black mist into Yiling Tianshou's body. Just now, he had attached that ball of black mist to the tip of the war god spear, and when Yiling Tianshou's fist collided with the tip of the war god spear, that ball of black mist naturally entered Yiling Tianshou's body. "Kid, what did you do to me?" At this moment, Yiling Tianshou let out a roar of horror. That ball of black mist acted up. The moment that ball of black mist entered Yiling Tianshou's body, it exploded and spread to every cell in Yiling Tianshou's body. This kind of black mist came from that strange old ship in the void. It was very strange and terrifying. Lu Ming had suffered greatly before, and could not even refine the forbidden power. In the end, Lu Ming had to rely on his door, and the yellow mud road to finally extract the black mist from his body. As for Yiling Tianshou, he did not have the forbidden power, nor did he have Lu Ming's door. Although he had used all his strength, he still could not do anything to the black mist. The black mist spread to every cell in Yiling Tianshou's body and began to madly corrode his body. Yiling Tianshou's body slowly shriveled up, and his aura began to weaken. "Refine, refine," Yiling Tianshou roared furiously, constantly erupting with two types of supreme power that circulated throughout his body, but it was useless. He could not spread his forbidden power to every cell like Lu Ming's, so it was almost useless against this kind of black mist. Moreover, two types of supreme power could not be compared to the forbidden power at all, unless there were four types. Therefore, the black mist continued to corrode Yiling Tianshou. "Qiuqiu, the plan is a success. Let's retreat." Lu Ming transmitted to Qiuqiu, and then brought Qiuqiu out of the gap quickly. "Lu Ming, you are going to die today." Yiling Tianshou roared and lunged at Lu Ming like a madman, bringing with him a violent airflow. "Yiling Tianshou, you have been poisoned by me. If you don't hurry up and get rid of the poison, only death will await you," Lu Ming shouted. Chapter 4592. Yiling Tianshou, you've been poisoned by my poison. If you don't hurry up and get rid of the poison, only death awaits you, Lu Ming shouted. These words were like a bucket of cold water splashed on Yiling Tianshou's head, instantly calming him down. Lu Ming is already severely injured. Go and cripple him. If he resists, kill him without mercy. Yiling Tianshou roared, then hurriedly sat down cross-legged, circulating his energy with all his might, wanting to get rid of the black fog. Done. Seeing Yiling Tianshou sit down cross-legged and begin to refine the black fog, Lu Ming was overjoyed. This was his plan. What he wanted was for Yiling Tianshou to sit down and refine the black fog. Lu Ming was all too familiar with the power of this black fog. It had tortured him for several months and was definitely not something Yiling Tianshou could get rid of. The only weakness was that the eruption was not fierce enough and needed time. As time passed, only death awaited Yiling Tianshou. If Yiling Tianshou had ignored everything and charged at Lu Ming crazily, with Lu Ming's injured body, there was a high chance that he would be killed by Yiling Tianshou. Therefore, Lu Ming specially shouted to remind Yiling Tianshou. Sure enough, Yiling Tianshou fell for it and sat down cross-legged, wanting to refine the black fog. Lu Ming and Qiuqiu rushed into the gap in the first mountain range and rushed outside. Chase, don't let him escape. Lu Ming, you can't escape. The other celestial race experts shouted and chased after Lu Ming. Among them, 2 fifth-level Divine Master experts were the fastest, following closely behind Lu Ming, rushing out of the Mountain of Ancestors. Lu Ming pretended to be panicked and continued to fly into the distance, trying to get as far away from the Mountain of Ancestors as possible in case Yiling Tianshou attacked. At the same time, he also needed time to heal. Previously, he was injured by Yiling Tianshou's move and his injuries were still quite serious, but his recovery ability was astonishing and was recovering at an extremely fast speed. Soon, his injuries were 80% healed. And at this time, they were already some distance away from the Mountain of Ancestors. Qiuqiu, do it. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Qiuqiu. All right, leave that old man to me. Qiuqiu grinned, revealing a row of sharp teeth. Then, it flew out and transformed into a halberd. This halberd was originally a source-grade weapon. The halberd was enormous, and it cleaved down at the old man at the 5th level of the Divine Master realm. As for Lu Ming, he gripped the war god's spear and turned around, thrusting it at the middle-aged man. Boom! After exchanging a blow, both of them retreated. On the other side, Qiuqiu also exchanged a blow with the old man. Both of them retreated continuously. However, Qiuqiu had gained the upper hand. This made the 5th-level Divine Lord Celestial Race Elder extremely grave and shocked. How can a mere metallic life form be so powerful? You can actually fight me across 2 levels, and you seem to be slightly stronger than me. The heart of the 5th-layer Divine Master Heavenly Human Elder was in turmoil, and he found it hard to calm down. Although the metallic lifeform race was one of the top 10 races of the universe, in the eyes of the celestial race, they were just a pile of slaves, no different from ants. They understood the metallic lifeform race very well, and they knew that it was impossible for the metallic lifeform race to have such a powerful existence. This metallic lifeform is strange. Hurry up and finish off Lu Ming. Come and help me. The old man bellowed at the middle-aged man. Hold on. Once the others arrive, the 2 of them will be dead for sure. The middle-aged man roared, his heart filled with unspeakable bitterness. Finish off Lu Ming. Lu Ming's strength was about the same as his. How could he be so easy to deal with? Only when the other experts arrived and worked together could they finish off Lu Ming and Qiuqiu. Kill! Lu Ming roared and once again charged toward the middle-aged burly 5th-level Divine Master. The war god's spear glowed, turning into a dazzling spear light that aimed for the man's forehead. Divine punishment. The middle-aged man roared as he gripped his main divine weapon saber and slashed at Lu Ming, covered in the energy of divine punishment. Clang! The 2 attacks clashed. In the next moment, the burly 5th-tier Divine Master's countenance changed drastically. He felt an extremely terrifying force erupting from Lu Ming's long spear. It was invincible and was charging toward him. Gotcha! Bang! The main divine weapon in his hand shattered and exploded into smithereens. The spear light did not stop, continuing to stab at his forehead. The middle-aged man roared, extreme fear in his eyes. He used all his strength to shift his body, putting some distance between himself and the spear light. However, even though he had avoided the attack, he had not completely avoided Lu Ming's spear light. The spear light struck his chest, and half of his body exploded. He was heavily injured. Just now, Lu Ming had unleashed the power of origin. After Lu Ming broke through to the 2nd level of the God Lord realm, he was no longer weaker than his opponent. Moreover, he had suddenly erupted with origin energy, so it was normal for him to heavily injure his opponent. And this was only because his opponent had reacted quickly, or else he might have been killed. Swish swish, the other celestial race experts also arrived. There were 10-some God Lord experts, and 2 of them were at the 4th level of the God Lord realm. As for the 3rd level of the God Lord realm, there were 3. These people were also extremely powerful and could pose a threat to Lu Ming, especially those at the 4th level of the God Lord realm. He had to end this battle quickly. Primeval desolate style. Lu Ming formed a seal with his hands, and a primeval desolate continent took form, pressing down on the middle-aged man. The war god's spear flew out like a bolt of lightning, thrusting at his opponent. This double attack pushed Lu Ming's fighting strength to the limit. His opponent was already heavily injured, half of his body exploding. He simply could not block Lu Ming's attack. Bam! The primeval desolate continent pressed down on him, and his battered body was torn to pieces. The war god's spear flew past and pierced his head. The man's head exploded, and his body and soul were extinguished. Damn it! That's origin energy. The old man at the 5th level of the God Lord realm fighting with Qiuqiu was shocked. An expert whose fighting strength was similar to his had been killed by Lu Ming just like that. This truly shocked him. That's not right. I heard that Lu Ming has condensed an origin seed. The origin seed definitely doesn't contain much origin energy. It's probably only enough for one attack. At this thought, the old man at the 5th level of the God Lord realm breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, the celestial race experts who had just arrived all gasped in shock. They couldn't help but stop charging at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not charge at these people. Instead, he charged at Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu, illusion. Lu Ming sent a message to Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu understood and swiftly retreated. Its body rapidly transformed into a mirror and shot out a beam of light. Not good. The old man at the 5th level of the God Lord realm paled as he thought of something and flew to the side. But how could he be faster than Qiuqiu's beam of light? A moment later, he was enveloped by the beam of light and fell into an illusion. He was much weaker than Yiling Tianshou, so he fell into an illusion, a dazed look appearing in his eyes. Chapter 4593. The celestial race 5th level God Lord Elder was enveloped by Qiuqiu's pillar of light and fell into an illusion, a dazed look appearing in his eyes. Lu Ming would not let go of such an opportunity. As one with the spear, he pierced through the celestial race elder's forehead and annihilated his soul, slaying him on the spot. Just like that, 2 5th level God Lords were killed by Lu Ming and Qiuqiu. The remaining 10 some celestial race God Lords were almost scared to death. Retreat. Retreat and find Lord Tianshou. Let's go. The remaining 10 some God Lords roared as they retreated toward the ancestral mountain. Want to leave? Lu Ming revealed a cold killing intent as he charged at the 10 some celestial race God Lords. Qiuqiu once again transformed into a halberd and slashed down. The 2 of them were so fast that they caught up to the celestial race experts in the blink of an eye. Scatter. Scatter. Let's split up. A 4th level God Lord roared. Suddenly, the dozen or so heavenly humans scattered and fled in all directions. Primordial desolate style. Lu Ming's hands quickly formed a seal, and a massive continent formed and pressed down. The continent was so massive that it covered the sky and engulfed the celestial race experts. Attack together. Attack together and break open this continent. The celestial race experts roared as they attacked together, unleashing 10 some attacks on the primordial desolate continent. Boom! 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 The continent fiercely shuddered, and cracks appeared on its surface. Finally, it exploded. Lu Ming had made the continent too large, and its power was too scattered. It was not very strong, so it was defeated. But only 5 people managed to charge out. These 5 people were all at the 3rd or 4th level of the Divine Master realm. As for those below 3rd level God Lords, they did not have the strength to do so. They were all heavily injured and coughing up blood. Some 1st level Divine Masters were even killed by the shock waves. Even though the primordial desolate style was too large and scattered, it was not something that 1st level or 2nd level God Lords could block. The The ish. The war god's spear trembled, and 5 or 6 spear lights shot toward the injured first-level or second-level god lords. These people were already injured and unable to resist at all. They were all killed one after another. On the other side, Qiuqiu's halberd slashed down, aiming at a 4th-layer Divine Master expert. Qiuqiu's current battle prowess was even stronger than that old man at the 5th level of the Divine Master realm, let alone this 4th-level Divine Master. Although this person did his best to block, the result was that his main weapon was broken, and his entire person was cleaved into 2, dying on the spot. After a wave of attacks from Lu Ming and Qiuqiu, only 4 of the Celestial Clan's Divine Master realm experts were left. 1 4th-level Divine Master and 3 3rd-level Divine Masters. They spread out in 4 directions and flew at full speed. Lu Ming frowned. It was obviously impossible to kill all of them. After all, the other party's speed was not slow. Furthermore, they had split up, so it would be difficult to catch them all in one go. I'll go after that 4th-layer Divine Master. Lu Ming set his sights on the last 4th-layer Divine Master and used the greater teleportation technique to chase after him. As for Qiuqiu, it chased after a 3rd-level Divine Master. Lu Ming cast the transference skill. His speed was extremely fast, and he constantly closed the distance between him and the 4th-level Divine Master. The celestial race expert felt a chill in his heart, fear appearing on his face. Lu Ming, if you dare to kill a member of the celestial race, the celestial race won't let you go. The other party roared. Even now, you're still using the celestial race to threaten me? Isn't that stupid? Do you think that I'm afraid of the celestial race? Lu Ming sneered. Lord Yiling Tianshou will be here very soon. You're dead. The other party seemed to know that using the celestial race to threaten someone with a taboo body was truly stupid, so he brought up Yiling Tianshou as well. Yiling Tianshou can't even protect himself. Don't worry. After I kill you, I'll take his dog life. Lu Ming coldly said, but he did not slow down at all. The 2 sides were getting closer and closer. I'll fight you to the death. The other party roared, as if he knew that he could not escape. He suddenly turned around, and the power of the heavens on his body burned like flames. The other party was going all out. He burned the power of the heavens and wanted to perish together with Lu Ming. It had to be said that a 4th-level Divine Master Heavenly Human was a great threat. Lu Ming had to be careful. Great binding technique, great sealing technique, great binding technique. In an instant, Lu Ming used dozens of ancient secret skills to trap the enemy. They transformed into densely packed rays of light that shrouded the other party. Then, the primitive style was activated, and a continent pressed down on the other party. Ah! The other party roared, going all out. Even the universe bridge was set ablaze to fight against Lu Ming. He actually managed to withstand Lu Ming's attack. However, he was also severely injured. Die, let's die together. The other party was completely crazy. A terrifying aura swelled in his body, and rings of terrifying energy spread out. He's going to self-destruct. Retreat. Lu Ming quickly retreated and set up hundreds of defenses in front of him. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion that was hundreds of times more powerful than the explosion of a star. Waves of terrifying energy swept out in all directions. The land was completely charred black. 1,000,000 miles away, Lu Ming appeared. His body was also charred black. Some parts of his body were tattered and bleeding. The self-destruction of a 4th-level Divine Master Heavenly Human is really powerful. I can't be careless in the future, Lu Ming warned himself. At the same time, he circulated his forbidden energy to heal his injuries. If he faced enemies in the future, he would try to kill them as quickly as possible. It would be troublesome if the other party went all out. Those heavenly humans who had been killed before had not made up their minds and were still hoping to escape. That was why Lu Ming and the others had killed them quickly. They did not have time to self-destruct. However, that heavenly human knew that he could not escape. He stopped fighting and decided to self-destruct. That was why he succeeded. Lu Ming, why are you in such a sorry state? At this moment, Qiuqiu returned and looked at Lu Ming curiously. How are you? Did you kill the heavenly human? Lu Ming quickly changed the topic. I killed one. The other two ran away. I can't catch up. Qiuqiu said. Those two should have gone to the ancestral mountain. Let's go to the ancestral mountain. Yiling Tianshou, it should be about time. Lu Ming said, killing intent flashing in his eyes. It was time to end things with Yiling Tianshou. The two flew toward the ancestral mountain. At this moment, between the first and second mountain ranges, Yiling Tianshou was still refining the black mist. However, his current state was too poor. He was so thin that he was only skin and bones. It was as if his flesh and blood had been sucked away. His aura was also many times weaker than before. Ah! Why? Why can't I refine this black mist? Why? Yiling Tianshou roared in his heart. At the same time, he felt deep fear. Was he going to die here? Chapter 45-94. Shouted Yiling Tianshou. He couldn't accept it. His father was a powerful celestial Zun of the Heavenly Palace. He had a high status in the Heavenly Palace. He could do whatever he wanted. Besides, he had also obtained great fortune. He had obtained a large amount of ice fire star silver in this continent. That much ice fire star silver could be exchanged for an immeasurable amount of wealth. His future was bright. He didn't want to die. Now, he only hoped that Lu Ming would be captured so that he could obtain the antidote from Lu Ming. Indeed, he thought that it was a deadly poison and that Lu Ming should have the antidote. Master Tianshou, what should we do? Master Tianshou is dying. The heavenly human tribe cultivators who only had the strength of the 9th great supreme god layer were extremely anxious. You, come here. I have something for you to do, said Yiling Tianshou hoarsely. Master Tianshou, please tell us what to do. The heavenly human tribe cultivators of the 9th great supreme god layer approached Yiling Tianshou. When the heavenly human tribe cultivators got close to Yiling Tianshou, Yiling Tianshou suddenly attacked. He raised his two hands and two waves of terrifying strength pressed down on the heavenly human tribe cultivators like a millstone. Even though Yiling Tianshou was being tortured by the black fog, he was still much stronger than the heavenly human tribe cultivators of the 9th great supreme god layer. Under the pressure of this power, the bodies of the heavenly human tribe members began to explode and turn into a bloody mess. Swallow them, shouted Yiling Tianshou. His body suddenly swelled up and he turned into a giant. He opened his mouth and swallowed all the flesh and blood. At that moment, Yiling Tianshou looked like a demon. He wanted to use the flesh and blood to resist the black fog's corrosion. As expected, after absorbing the flesh and blood, his body became a little fuller because the black fog seemed to have found a new target. He's crazy. He's crazy. Yiling Tianshou is crazy. Run. The remaining heavenly human tribe cultivators shouted in fear and ran away. There were more than 200 heavenly human tribe cultivators of the 9th great supreme god layer. Yiling Tianshou had only killed 100 of them. You won't be able to escape. It's your honor to sacrifice yourself for me. Die, shouted Yiling Tianshou, and he attacked the heavenly human tribe cultivators of the 9th great supreme god layer. The heavenly human tribe cultivators' miserable cries. Yiling Tianshou had finally killed all the heavenly human tribe cultivators of the 9th great supreme god layer and swallowed their flesh and blood. Yiling Tianshou roared in his heart. At this moment, his gaze was looking forward. In front of him, there were two figures who were looking at him in horror. These two people were the fish that had escaped the net from Lu Ming and Qiuqiu. They were both 3rd-tier divine master experts. The two of them fled back to the ancestral mountain. Initially, they wanted to ask Yiling Tianshou to kill Lu Ming. However, they did not expect to see Yiling Tianshou killing other members of the heavenly human race as soon as they returned. The two of them were so scared that they stopped in their tracks, not daring to approach. Yiling Tianshou's eyes were bloodshot. The two heavenly human tribe cultivators paled. One of them said, "Lord Tianshou, there's something wrong with your body. We should keep our distance." The two heavenly human tribe cultivators retreated a bit, keeping their distance from Yiling Tianshou. Yiling Tianshou's eyes flashed with a vicious light, but he didn't attack the two heavenly human tribe cultivators. Ninth Great Supreme God Layer cultivators couldn't compare to a third Great Supreme God Layer cultivator. In his current state, he might not be able to catch up to them. "Why are you back? Where's Lu Ming? Did you take him down? Hurry and bring him here," Yiling Tianshou asked. This was what he was most concerned about. As long as he could take down Lu Ming, he would be able to get the antidote from Lu Ming. "Lord Tianshou, that Lu Ming and that metallic life form are too strong and cunning. We failed. The others are dead. Only the two of us are left," a heavenly human tribe cultivator of the third Great Supreme God Layer said. "What?" Yiling Tianshou trembled like a bolt from the blue. More than a dozen heavenly human tribe cultivators were dead. Only the two of them were left. Most importantly, it didn't matter if they were dead, but if they couldn't capture Lu Ming, where would he get the antidote? Damn it. Damn it. Trash. A bunch of trash. Yiling Tianshou roared furiously. He was about to go crazy. He was going crazy. Although he had just devoured the flesh of more than 200 heavenly human tribe cultivators of the Ninth Great Supreme God Layer, they were only Ninth Great Supreme God Layer cultivators. Even a few dozen of them couldn't compare to a heavenly human tribe cultivator. He couldn't hold on for much longer. His aura started to weaken again, and his body, which had been a little fuller, started to shrivel up again. This scene was extremely horrifying. The two heavenly human tribe cultivators couldn't help but retreat a little more. "Where is Lu Ming? Take me to him. Take me to him," Yiling Tianshou roared hysterically. In that direction. The two heavenly human tribe cultivators didn't dare to leave Yiling Tianshou behind. Yiling Tianshou's status was no small matter. If they dared to leave him behind, it would be fine if Yiling Tianshou died, but if he was still alive, their fates would be miserable. "Let's go." Yiling Tianshou roared and rushed in that direction. The two heavenly human tribe cultivators followed from a distance. They didn't fly very far before they ran into Lu Ming. Yiling Tianshou is still alive. Lu Ming was surprised to see Yiling Tianshou. He had wanted to return to the ancestral mountain to see if Yiling Tianshou was still alive. He hadn't expected to run into Yiling Tianshou on the way. "Lu Ming, hand over the antidote, quick!" Yiling Tianshou roared. "Antidote? I've hidden it somewhere not far from here." Lu Ming started to lie to stall for time. The longer he delayed, the better it would be for him. "I hid it. Come with me to get it," Yiling Tianshou roared. "Okay, come with me, but keep a distance from me. Otherwise, don't even think about getting the antidote," Lu Ming said as he retreated. As long as he led Yiling Tianshou around twice, Yiling Tianshou would be dead for sure. "Kid, are you trying to trick me? Are you trying to stall for time? The antidote must be on you. Hand it over or die," Yiling Tianshou roared. He was smart and wouldn't be fooled so easily. As he roared, he tried to force Lu Ming to leave. "I said, come with me, and I'll give you the antidote." Lu Ming sped up and retreated. He naturally wouldn't tell Yiling Tianshou that there was no antidote. If he did, he would cut off Yiling Tianshou's hope. Without hope, he was afraid that Yiling Tianshou would go all out. For an expert like Yiling Tianshou, who had an extraordinary background, once he went all out, who knew what would happen? Lu Ming wasn't sure either. But as long as there was hope for the antidote, Yiling Tianshou wouldn't go all out. Chapter 4595. As long as I take you down, let's see if you hand it over or not. Yiling Tianshou roared. He was very decisive and charged towards Lu Ming at an extremely shocking speed. As long as he took down Lu Ming, he would be able to take the initiative. Even if Lu Ming really hid the antidote somewhere, he could force Lu Ming to lead the way. If Lu Ming hid the antidote on him, that would be even better. At this moment, as it concerned his life, Yiling Tianshou attacked with all his strength. The violent heavenly punishment force and heavenly extermination force surged towards Lu Ming like a tide. Heaven-piercing. Lu Ming waved the war god's spear, forming dozens of spear shadows that pierced forward. At the same time, Qiuqiu also turned into a halberd and slashed forward. Rumble. The power of both sides collided in the void, erupting into bursts of rumbling. Following that, Lu Ming and Qiuqiu's figures drifted back, but that was all. They were not injured. Yiling Tianshou, it seems that you don't have much strength left. Lu Ming sneered. Damn it. Yiling Tianshou roared in his heart, his expression extremely ugly. He was corroded too much by the black mist, and his strength was much weaker than when he was at his peak. Moreover, when he attacked, he still had to divert a portion of his strength to resist the black mist, otherwise, the corrosion would be faster. In this way, the strength he could exert would be even less. The move just now could only push back Lu Ming and Qiuqiu, but it could not injure Lu Ming and Qiuqiu. I don't believe it, kill. Yiling Tianshou roared and wanted to use more strength to attack, but his body immediately trembled and his face turned pale. As soon as he used more strength, the strength to resist the black mist was not enough. The black mist corroded even more, causing him to suffer heavy losses. Qiuqiu, do it. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Qiuqiu. Then, with a wave of his hand, the war god's spear flew out like a bolt of lightning. At the same time, Lu Ming used the Great Desolation style. A continent pressed down on Yiling Tianshou. The continent was compressed very small by Lu Ming, and its power was also at its strongest state. At the same time, the halberd formed by Qiuqiu once again slashed at Yiling Tianshou. The two of them went all out, unleashing their strongest attacks. How could Yiling Tianshou dare to be careless? He could only block. He let out a long howl and unleashed several hundred palm strikes consecutively with the power of heavenly extermination and heavenly punishment in one hand, blocking Lu Ming and Qiuqiu's attacks. However, every time he attacked, he would consume a large amount of energy. Naturally, the power suppressing the black fog would weaken, and the black fog would take the opportunity to corrode him. After a round of confrontation, Yiling Tianshou became even weaker. Lu Ming had naturally seen through this, which was why he had launched an attack with Qiuqiu. As long as he attacked, Yiling Tianshou would die even faster. Again. Lu Ming shouted and launched another attack. Yiling Tianshou was furious, but he had no choice but to block. If he didn't block and let the black fog corrode him, he would be directly killed by Lu Ming and Qiuqiu. After a few rounds of continuous attacks, Yiling Tianshou was very weak. Black fog constantly overflowed from the surface of his body. Black fog also overflowed from his mouth, nose, and eyes. His entire person looked like a zombie. Lu Ming, give me the antidote, quickly give me the antidote. My father is a celestial venerable of the heavenly palace. If I die, he won't let you off. Yiling Tianshou roared and began to threaten Lu Ming. But Lu Ming was clearly unmoved and continued to attack. Lu Ming, don't kill me. As long as you let me go, I can give you whatever you want. Treasures, divine pills, beautiful women, I can give them all to you. I can even give you ice fire star silver. 100 kilograms, no, 500 kilograms, I can give it all to you. Seeing that his threat failed, Yiling Tianshou tried to bribe Lu Ming again. As long as I kill you, all the treasures on you will be mine. Lu Ming sneered. Bastard, despicable ant, you want to kill me? Dream on. Let me tell you, if I die, this continent will be destroyed. Countless people from the Yen clan will die. They will all be buried with me. Seeing that Lu Ming was unmoved, Yiling Tianshou went crazy and shouted hysterically. Here's the chance. Qiuqiu, illusion. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Qiuqiu. How could Qiuqiu not know Lu Ming's intention? It immediately turned into a mirror and shot out a beam of light that enveloped Yiling Tianshou. Yiling Tianshou's eyes immediately became dazed and lifeless. Swoosh! Lu Ming became one with the spear and turned into a beam of spear light that pierced towards Yiling Tianshou's forehead. Just as Lu Ming was about to pierce Yiling Tianshou's eyes suddenly emitted a dazzling light. His body also erupted with a terrifying fluctuation. Not good, retreat. Without hesitation, Lu Ming stopped his body abruptly and then retreated rapidly to the back. Lu Ming, die. Let's die together. Yiling Tianshou roared and a violent force swept towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. However, Lu Ming also used this force to retreat faster. He retreated to Qiuqiu's side and grabbed Qiuqiu. He used the greater teleportation technique and instantly appeared in the distance. Lu Ming, let's die together, let's die together. In the distance, Yiling Tianshou roared and rushed towards Lu Ming crazily. Yiling Tianshou really went crazy and went all out. His whole body was on the verge of self-destruction. The power that erupted was close to his peak. However, he didn't really make up his mind to self-destruct just now. He was only on the verge of self-destruction. Although he injured Lu Ming, he didn't leave Lu Ming behind. You can play by yourself. I'm not going to accompany you. Lu Ming had already seen that Yiling Tianshou was about to die. He was too lazy to make a move now. He pulled away from Yiling Tianshou and waited for him to be completely corroded by the black fog. Don't go, let's die together, let's die together. Yiling Tianshou roared and chased after Lu Ming crazily. He already knew that he couldn't survive and was on the verge of self-destruction. His strength had almost reached the limit, but the black fog also took the opportunity to corrode him. His flesh and blood essence was almost exhausted and his soul was also in a state of collapse. He could die at any time. Now, even if there was an antidote, it might not be useful. He wanted to find Lu Ming and perish together. Unfortunately, Lu Ming would no longer give him the chance to do so. Lu Ming kept retreating, pulling away from Yiling Tianshou. No matter how Yiling Tianshou roared, he couldn't be bothered with him. What should we do? Lord Tianshou is about to die. In the distance, 2 third-layer Divine Master experts were watching. They didn't dare to get close. If they got close now, they would either die at the hands of Lu Ming or Yiling Tianshou. They weren't that stupid. What else can we do? Yiling Tianshou is dead for sure. Let's leave quickly. The other person said. If we leave now, do we return to the Heavenly Palace or? The person in front asked. Returning to the Heavenly Palace is courting death. Everyone else is dead, including Yiling Tianshou. Do you think Yiling Tianshou's father will let us go? Let's leave this place and find a place to hide. The other person said. Then, the 2 of them flashed and left the place. Lu Ming naturally noticed that the 2 of them had left, but they were very far away from him. Now that they had retreated, he couldn't catch up even if he wanted to. He could only let them leave. Chapter 4596. A few minutes later, the aura on Yiling Tianshou's body suddenly weakened rapidly. The violent power all over his body also rapidly dried up and disappeared like a balloon. Bang! In the end, Yiling Tianshou's body fell to the ground and broke into pieces. However, he was not dead yet. His soul had not been completely annihilated. He let out a final roar. Lu Ming, my father knows that I'm here. If I die, he will find me. Even if you can leave, all the Yen tribe will be buried with me. Ha ha ha. Yiling Tianshou laughed loudly. Then, his soul and his broken body completely exploded with a bang, turning into ashes. Huff. Lu Ming let out a long breath. To be honest, this Yiling Tianshou was really very difficult to deal with. High cultivation and strength was one reason. He was also very smart. Some schemes would not work in front of him and would be seen through. However, the other party was still a step behind and lost to Lu Ming in the end. The main reason was that the other party did not expect Lu Ming to have something like the black fog in his hands. Logically speaking, reaching Yiling Tianshou's level, plus having two kinds of supreme heavenly power holding down the fort, there was no poison in the primitive universe that could scare him. Therefore, he did not guard against this move. The other was also that kind of black fog. It was too terrifying. When fighting with Lu Ming, Yiling Tianshou's fist was covered with supreme heavenly power. Even if Lu Ming wanted to use any powerful poison, it would be blocked or even refined by the power of the fist. It could not enter Yiling Tianshou's body at all. However, that kind of black fog could directly ignore Yiling Tianshou's power and seep into his body. Therefore, Yiling Tianshou was defeated. Lu Ming won somewhat by luck, but in the end, he still won, didn't he? Lu Ming flew over and saw the storage ring left behind by Yiling Tianshou. He grabbed the storage ring in his hand. That kind of black fog seemed to only corrode flesh and did not have any corrosive effect on storage rings. It's a pity that the black fog dissipated too. Lu Ming sighed. This kind of black fog was very powerful. If he could keep it, it would be of great use at a critical moment. For example, when dealing with Yiling Tianshou, if he did not have this black fog, Lu Ming would definitely not be able to do anything to him. This black fog was not only effective against Yiling Tianshou, it was also effective against people with stronger cultivations. However, as Yiling Tianshou was annihilated, the black mist also dissipated. However, Lu Ming's mood became better very quickly. His gaze landed on the storage ring left behind by Yiling Tianshou, his two eyes shining. This was Yiling Tianshou's storage ring. How many treasures would there be inside? Most importantly, how much ice fire star silver was inside? Lu Ming could not wait any longer. Lu Ming activated the taboo energy to erase the taboo energy that Yiling Tianshou had left on the storage ring. Then, he began to examine it. After a while, the smile on Lu Ming's face was uncontrollably revealed. I'm rich. I'm really rich. Lu Ming found a large amount of icy fire star silver in his storage ring. The total amount was more than 1,500 kilograms. 1,500 kilograms, that was enough to refine 1,500 source-grade divine weapons. As long as he had this ice fire star silver, he would not have to worry about it in the future. Because the Heaven Destroyer had not found so many materials for refining source-level divine weapons for so many years. 1,500 kilograms of ice fire star silver, if the upper echelons of the Heavenly Palace knew about it, they would probably go crazy. Now, it had all fallen into Lu Ming's hands. This amount was a little more than Lu Ming had expected. Although the heavenly human race had occupied this continent for tens of thousands of years, it was obvious that they did not start mining the ice fire star silver from the beginning. The years of mining the ice fire star silver were not very long. Otherwise, the 36 mines, after tens of thousands of years, the amount would definitely be more than 1,500 kilograms. In fact, the total content of the ice fire star silver from the 36 mines was only about 2,000 kilograms, which was already an astronomical figure. Lu Ming had learned that the 36 mines were not mined at the same time. At the beginning, one was found, and then the second, the third. By now, the 36 ice fire star silver mines were about to be finished. In the storage ring, the ice fire star silver mine was the most valuable. Although there were some other treasures, Lu Ming did not care about them. Lu Ming would only be interested in chaos crystals, source-level divine weapons, or broken source-level divine weapons. However, There were no source-level divine weapons or broken source-level divine weapons in the storage ring, not even a piece of chaos crystal. Obviously, Yiling Tianshou must have refined the chaos crystal immediately after getting it. What a waste. Lu Ming muttered, then his figure flashed, and he put away the storage rings of the other heavenly human race. Then, Lu Ming re-entered the Mountain of Ancestors. Lu Ming stood at the foot of the second mountain range. The second lifeline of the Mountain of Ancestors had also been cut off by Yiling Tianshou and the others, and a cave was dug in the mountain. As soon as it was opened, Lu Ming arrived. The people of the heavenly human race did not have time to go in. Lu Ming did not hesitate and stepped into the second mountain range. The second mountain range and the third mountain range also formed a canyon. Lu Ming glanced around, and a trace of joy appeared on his face. Because, like the first mountain range, the walls of the second mountain range were also inlaid with chaos crystals. At a glance, there were no less than 1,000 chaos crystals, more than the first mountain range. "Qiuqiu, let's go." Lu Ming shouted, took out his weapon, rushed up, and began to dig for the chaos crystals. Now that the heavenly human race was gone, Lu Ming was not in such a hurry. He dug with Qiuqiu unhurriedly. Soon, all the chaos crystals on the second mountain range were dug out by Lu Ming. Not a single piece was left. Lu Ming counted. There were a total of 1998 pieces, close to 2,000 pieces. It was a lot more than the primordial crystals in the first mountain range. Indeed, for this continent to be able to flourish like this, it must contain a lot of desolate crystals. I reckon that every lifeline contains a sizable amount of desolate crystals. I have only dug out the first 2 mountain ranges. It should not affect the growth of the stellar sky continent. Lu Ming thought. The stellar sky continent needed energy to reproduce. And the chaos crystals would constantly emit energy to affect the continent. If all the chaos crystals were dug out, it would definitely affect the development of the continent, and it might even become a dead continent. However, Lu Ming only dug out the chaos crystals on 2 lifelines, so it would not affect the development of the continent. After all, there were still 7 lifelines. Furthermore, from the looks of it, the lifelines contained more and more desolate crystals than the previous one. Moreover, there must be some chaos crystals under the continent, but they were very scattered and difficult to find. Unfortunately, even with these chaos crystals, it is not enough for me to break through. I need more chaos crystals, Lu Ming sighed. Chapter 4597. There were nearly 2,000 chaos crystals, and he had refined 600 of them. If it were anyone else, they could easily break through to the 3rd level of the Divine Master Realm. However, Lu Ming couldn't. He needed more energy. It's a pity that I can't go deeper into the Ancestral Mountain. Otherwise, it would be great if I could get some more chaos crystals. Lu Ming looked at the 3rd lifeline and muttered. However, he couldn't do what the heavenly human tribe did, borrowing the power of faith from the Yen tribe, or even using the flesh of the Yen tribe to sever the lifeline. That went against his principles. He would rather give up the opportunity than do that. Right, let Hai Zong come out and take a look. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He thought of the sea sect. Hai Zong had fused with the red stone. Perhaps he could find something. He waved his hand and brought Hai Zong out. After Hai Zong came out, he looked at Lu Ming with more admiration and respect than when he looked at a god. Lu Ming actually carried a world with him. Moreover, this world was vast and boundless. Hai Zong kept flying but couldn't see the end. Moreover, the cultivation environment of this world was much better than the stellar sky continent. Carrying such a world with him, Lu Ming's image in Hai Zong's heart was infinitely higher. Brother Lu Ming, is this the ancestral mountain? Hai Zong came out and adjusted himself. He looked around, and his muscles couldn't help but tense up. He was obviously very nervous. That was because the ancestral mountain was occupied by the heavenly human tribe. Don't worry, I've eliminated the heavenly human tribe. Lu Ming said. He's been eliminated? Hai Zong was a little confused and then shocked. The heavenly human tribe was eliminated by Lu Ming? Lu Ming's image in his heart continued to rise. Seeing Hai Zong's admiring gaze, Lu Ming couldn't help but touch his nose speechlessly. You're a man. Why are you looking at me like that? Awkward. Lu Ming wouldn't mind if it were a beauty. By the way, Hai Zong, what did you find after entering the ancestral mountain? Lu Ming changed the topic. Sure enough, when the ancestral mountain was mentioned, Xi's sect immediately became spirited and continued to look around. At the same time, Hai Zong's body became somewhat fiery red. His blood flowed faster, and wisps of blood qi permeated the air. Finally, a figure wearing a royal robe and a crown condensed above his head. It held a royal sword in its hand, and it looked extremely majestic. Is this the lifeline? Hai Zong looked at the third lifeline and walked over. When he was in front of it, he stretched out his hand and placed it on top of it. A miraculous scene appeared. The third lifeline began to ripple like water. Then, the patriarch's hand sank in. It was as if the third lifeline was empty and had really turned into water. Even Lu Ming was taken aback. The lifeline of the ancestral mountain was fused with the other mountain ranges, but now, the rocks of the third mountain range seemed to have turned into water. Hai Zong took another step forward, and his entire arm seemed to sink in. Hai Zong's eyes darted around a few times, then he took a few steps back and pulled his arm out of the lifeline. What's going on, Hai Zong? Lu Ming quickly asked. Brother Lu Ming, I have a feeling that we can pass through the lifeline and enter the depths of the ancestral mountain without destroying it. Hai Zong said. It's possible? Lu Ming was shocked at first, but then he was overjoyed. If they could enter the depths of the ancestral mountain without destroying the lifeline, wouldn't they be able to obtain the opportunities in the ancestral mountain? Unfortunately, he couldn't go in. Brother Lu Ming, I can take you with me. Maybe we can go in together. Hai Zong said again. Lu Ming was a little surprised. Can you take me with you? I can try, but I think it's possible. Hai Zong nodded, and the blood qi on his body became denser. It slowly extended and shrouded Lu Ming. Brother Lu Ming, follow me. We'll move together. Hai Zong said. Lu Ming nodded and walked with Hai Zong toward the third lifeline. When Hai Zong's body came into contact with the third lifeline rippled like water. Hai Zong's body also sank into it as if he had entered water. After a few steps, Hai Zong's body had completely submerged into the third lifeline. Then, Lu Ming followed and came into contact with the third lifeline. Just like Hai Zong, when Lu Ming came into contact with the third lifeline, his body also sank into the third lifeline as if he had entered water. It really works. Lu Ming was delighted. Soon, Lu Ming's body completely disappeared into the third lifeline. They walked through the third mountain peak as if they were walking in water. The hard rocks seemed to have turned into water. Lu Ming knew that this must have something to do with Hai Zong's bloodline and the Crimson Stone. Soon, the two of them passed through the third lifeline and arrived at the valley formed by the third and fourth lifelines. There really are desolation crystals. Lu Ming looked at the third lifeline and saw a large number of desolation crystals embedded in it. At a glance, there were no less than a few thousand of them. They were as dazzling as stars. As expected, there are more desolation crystals in each lifeline. There should be 4,000 here. There must be more inside. It should be fine if I take some. Lu Ming thought, then took out his weapon and began to dig. However, when Lu Ming's weapon hit the wall glowed. With a clang, Lu Ming was pushed back by a force and almost vomited blood. No, with the power of the lifeline protecting it, I can't dig it out. Lu Ming shook his head. Brother Lu Ming, do you need these crystals? Hai Zong asked. Yes, these crystals are very important to me. Lu Ming nodded. Then I can take some for you. Hai Zong said. He stretched out his hand and gently grabbed at the crystals. It was like grabbing a piece of wood floating in water. The desolation crystals were taken out by Haizong. Lu Ming was envious. This was too easy. Haizong, you don't have to take all of these crystals. Just half is enough. Lu Ming said. He was thinking for the Heavenly Star Continent. If he took all of them, it would affect the population of the Heavenly Star Continent. Haizong nodded and quickly took out the crystals. Soon, around 2,000 desolation crystals were taken out and given to Lu Ming. There are around 4,000 crystals. It should be enough for me to reach third-level Divine Lord. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. The two of them continued to look around. When they didn't find anything else, they continued on to the fourth lifeline. Just like before, they passed through the fourth lifeline like a ripple and arrived at the valley formed by the fourth and fifth lifeline. As expected, the fourth lifeline was also embedded with a large number of desolation crystals. It was twice as many as the third lifeline. Chapter 4598. Lu Ming was tempted and planned to take more. It would be a waste if he didn't take some of the desolate crystals. Lu Ming asked Haizong to help and took half of the crystals. Half of them, a total of 4,000 primordial crystals, landed in Lu Ming's hands. In that case, Lu Ming had a total of 8,000 primeval crystals. I'm rich. If there are twice as many desolate crystals as there are outside, even if I only take half of them, it's still a lot. Lu Ming pondered. Soon, they continued to move towards the fifth lifeline. They passed through without any obstruction. True enough, during the internal testing of the fifth lifeline, there were more primordial crystals. There were 16,000 pieces. Lu Ming got Haizong to take 8,000 pieces before he continued his journey. Lu Ming asked Haizong to take 16,000 desolate crystals in the sixth lifeline. The seventh lifeline was tested internally, and 32,000 pieces were taken out. For the internal test of the eighth lifeline, he obtained 64,000 great desolate crystals. In this way, Lu Ming had a shocking 128,000 pieces of primordial crystals. This number was absolutely shocking. Even Lu Ming would be able to clear a few rounds consecutively. A great opportunity. It's really a great opportunity. I must find a chance to go into seclusion. My cultivation will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Lu Ming thought. Unfortunately, there were no desolate crystals in the ninth lifeline. Not a single one. However, they found a pool under the ninth lifeline's wall. There was a bright red liquid in the pool. That aura, Lu Ming and Haizong were shocked. Because they found that the liquid in the pool was very similar to the aura of the red stone. It was almost the same. Could it be that the red stone came from this pool? The pool emitted a hazy light. Looking at the pool, Haizong seemed to be half-possessed and couldn't help but step forward. Haizong, be careful. Lu Ming reminded Haizong to calm down. Big brother Lu Ming, I have a feeling that this pool will be of great help to the other party. I instinctively desire to enter this pool to cultivate. His eyes were fixed on the cistern, and a look of deep longing could be seen in his eyes. Lu Ming frowned. Perhaps this was a great lucky chance for the Sea faction, but he couldn't guarantee that there wouldn't be any danger. As Haizong finished speaking, he continued walking forwards. Lu Ming could only follow beside Haizong. If there was anything wrong, he could help at any time. However, when he got close, a powerful force blocked Lu Ming's path. This power was indestructible. It was not something that Lu Ming could break through. As for Haizong, he was completely unaffected. Haizong continued onward until he stepped into the blood pool. As soon as he entered the blood pool, the blood-colored liquid drilled into Haizong's body. Haizong closed his eyes, apparently absorbing and refining it. Boom! In the next moment, Haizong's aura skyrocketed. He broke through from the empty God realm to the true God realm. It is indeed a lucky chance. There is no danger. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. He was happy for Haizong. After a while, Haizong's aura stabilized at the first level of the true God realm. He continued to absorb and refine the blood-colored liquid. Lu Ming could feel that Haizong's bloodline power had become stronger. The suppression on Lu Ming was also slowly increasing. Is there really a hierarchy in the human race's bloodline? Could it be that there were humans in the last era? Lu Ming's mind was filled with thoughts. However, he had too little information. No matter how much he thought, he couldn't think of anything. As time passed, Haizong's aura skyrocketed again. He broke through from the first level of the true God realm to the second level of the true God realm. This speed of improvement was really shocking. At the same time, Haizong's bloodline power seemed to have become stronger. It seems like Haizong won't end his cultivation in a short time. Lu Ming said in a low voice. Since Haizong was fine, Lu Ming looked around. He had already passed through the 9 lifelines and entered the core of the ancestral mountain. Inside, there was only a mountain peak that looked like a sharp sword. This mountain peak was the tallest, piercing through the clouds. It was taller than the other 9 lifelines. However, it occupied a very small area. It really looked like a sharp sword stabbed into the ground. There's a door. Lu Ming's eyes moved. He found that there was a stone door at the bottom of this mountain. However, the stone door was closed. Lu Ming couldn't help but be a little tempted. Inside this mountain peak was the true core of the ancestral mountain. The previous 9 lifelines surrounded this mountain peak. It was more like a kind of protection. What was inside? Was it a mountain of source-level divine weapons? Or a shocking amount of desolation crystals? Let's go in and take a look. Lu Ming decided to go in and take a look. Since he was already here, how could he not go in and take a look? However, Lu Ming would not let his guard down. The surface of his body was filled with taboo power, ready to make a move at any time. At the same time, Chuchio wriggled and turned into an armor, covering Lu Ming's body. From many angles, it proved that the ancestral mountain was likely passed down from the previous era. After countless years, it was still extraordinary. This was definitely not simple. Lu Ming would not be careless. He slowly approached the stone door, but there was no reaction at all. When Lu Ming walked to the stone door, there was still no abnormality. Lu Ming condensed a big hand with taboo power, pressed on the stone door, and pushed hard. With a click, the stone door opened. Lu Ming was a little stunned. All of this was simple beyond his imagination. He originally thought that it would take at least some effort. When the stone door opened, light came from inside. Looking inside, he could vaguely see that the mountain peak was empty, forming a rather large space. Finally, Lu Ming stepped out and walked through the stone door. It was still the same sentence. Since he was already here, he had to check it out. There was no abnormality or danger. Lu Ming walked through the stone door, walked through a short passage, and came to a space inside the mountain. The center of the mountain peak was hollow. The surrounding walls were very smooth, and there were lines carved on them. Not only on the walls, but on the ground as well. Countless lines intertwined, covering the entire space inside the mountain. And in the center, there was a protruding stone pillar, and on the stone pillar was a box. The box was about 1 meter in length, width, and height, and seemed to be made of bronze. It looked very simple and full of the aura of time. There were 8 altars in 8 directions around the stone pillar. There was a flame on each of the 8 altars, like a candle flame. It was not big and slowly burned. Apart from that, there was nothing else in this space inside the mountain. These lines intertwine and seem to form some kind of large array. However, this large array seems to have lost its effect. There is no reaction when I step on it. Lu Ming thought. The place he stepped on was also full of runes, but there was no reaction at all. The large array was not activated. Perhaps too many years had passed, and the large array had lost its effect. In the end, Lu Ming's gaze fell on the bronze box. Chapter 45-99. The bronze chest looked simple and unadorned. It was unknown what was inside. However, there was only one chest in this mountain space. Moreover, it was placed so solemnly in the middle. The thing inside must be extraordinary. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and finally decided to open it to take a look. However, Lu Ming did not approach it. Instead, he used his taboo energy to form two big hands, grabbing the chest and trying to open it. However, the chest did not budge. Lu Ming tried again, but the chest still did not budge. Right at this time, the bronze chest suddenly emitted a gentle light. Lu Ming was startled and quickly withdrew his taboo energy. He saw a line of words appear on the side of the chest. "Kid, don't waste your energy. You can't open it." There was no sound, only this line of words. It appeared for a few breaths of time and then disappeared. However, Lu Ming saw it clearly. There was no mistake. "Senior, may I ask who you are? Can you come out and meet me?" Lu Ming called out. "I'm right in front of you. Can't you see?" Another line appeared on the chest. Lu Ming was a little confused. He stared at the bronze chest for a while and said, "Senior, are you inside the chest?" "No, I'm this chest." Another line appeared on the chest. "It's this chest?" Lu Ming was even more confused. It turned out that this chest was alive and was actually talking to him. Could it be that this chest was a supreme treasure that had already given birth to intelligence? Various thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He asked, "So it's Senior chest. Senior, where is this place? Is it left behind from the previous era? Don't call me Senior. I'm just a chest." Another line appeared on the chest. "Lu Ming," the first line disappeared and a new line appeared. "I don't know anything else. I only know that this is the place where the human king's remains are sealed." Human king's remains? For some reason, Lu Ming's heart shook when he heard this. He continued to ask, "Senior, what's a human king's remains?" "The remains of the sovereign personage are the remains of the sovereign personage. Sealed in this box is an arm of the sovereign personage." A sentence appeared on the chest. "Human monarch? What does it have to do with the human race?" Lu Ming asked. He had no idea what a human king meant. Some monarchs of mortal kingdoms also call themselves human kings. However, this was clearly not a mortal emperor. The human king is the king of the human race, one of the strongest experts of the human race. He commands the endless human race and oppresses the Eldritch continent. Another sentence appeared on the chest. The Great Desolate Continent is indeed a remnant from the previous epoch. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, but he immediately thought of another problem. Were there really humans in the primeval continent of the last epoch? Could it be that there are also humans in the Eldritch continent? Lu Ming asked the question in his heart. Of course. Although the Great Desolate Continent had many races, the human race was the strongest race without a doubt. Experts were as common as clouds. The human king suppressed the entire Great Desolate Continent, an expert who stood at the peak of the Great Desolate Continent. However, the human king was killed later on. His soul scattered, and his corpse disintegrated, sealed in different places. This place is one of them. The words on the chest appeared and disappeared. A few sentences appeared consecutively. Lu Ming was flabbergasted. He could not recover his composure for a long time. These words gave him too much information. There were humans in the Great Desolate Continent of the previous epoch. What shocked Lu Ming was that the human race was actually the strongest race in the Great Desolate Continent, suppressing the other races. As for the human king, he was the king of the human race, a peak expert of the Great Desolate Continent. Lu Ming really did not expect the human race to be so strong in the previous epoch. Could it be that the humans of the great desolate universe were all the bloodlines left behind by the humans of the previous epoch? They were the bloodlines of the experts of the previous epoch, born after the passage of time. For example, the flame race. Could it be that the flame race was born from the human king's arm? Aside from this reason, there was no other explanation. Of course, he still had to ask. Senior, could it be that the flame race of this continent was born from the human king's arm? Lu Ming asked. Are you talking about that brat outside? That's right. He was born from the bloodstains left behind by the human king's arm. Also, don't call me senior. I'm just a chest. A few more sentences appeared on the chest. The last sentence left Lu Ming speechless. So, that's how it is. The flame race was born from the bloodstains left behind by the human king's arm. In that case, were the other humans of the great desolate universe also born from the flesh and blood left behind by the experts of the previous epoch? Lu Ming's imagination ran wild. Then, he thought about how the human race was born. In that case, what about the other races of the universe? Most of the races of the universe evolved from the descendants of the various primordial gods. In that case, what about the primordial gods? Where did they come from? According to the legends of the universe, the primordial gods were born when the universe first opened. In the past, Lu Ming also thought so. But now, Lu Ming had more ideas. Because the current Great Desolate Universe was also a part of the Great Desolate Continent of the previous epoch. In that case, were the primordial gods born naturally when the universe first opened, or were they related to the experts of the previous epoch? He thought of Gumo again. Gumo said that he was the first demon bone at the beginning of the universe. This demon bone might have been an expert of the previous epoch in his previous life. In that case, what about the primordial gods? The more Lu Ming thought about it, the more his mind opened up. Could it be that he had discovered the secret of the birth of life in the great desolate universe? However, he also thought that the heavenly human race didn't seem to have evolved from the primordial gods, and they weren't primordial gods themselves. Then, how did the heavenly human race appear? Also, the demons were the same. After a long while, Lu Ming's heart gradually calmed down. Say. Well, may I ask why the Great Desolate Continent was so prosperous in the past? Also, if the human king was so powerful, why was he killed and his body divided and sealed? Lu Ming asked. He was very curious about the Great Desolate Continent of the previous epoch. He wanted to know what happened back then. From all the information he knew, the Great Desolate Continent of the previous epoch was a prosperous time for cultivation. Its strength was many times stronger than the current Great Desolate Continent and the heavenly human race. They were so powerful, so powerful. Why was it that even the Great Desolate Continent was destroyed? Also, the human king was so powerful. Who killed him and divided his body and sealed it? Lu Ming wanted to know all these thoroughly. I don't know. He didn't expect to see such words on the box. You don't know? How can you not know? Aren't you a box left behind by the previous epoch? Lu Ming was a little anxious and asked continuously. Please, I'm just a box. Chapter 4600. Come on, I'm just a box. The box's reply was very simple. Nestle. Lu Ming wanted to curse. What could he say? What else could he say? The other party was really just a box. Could he curse at a box? Then can you teach me some qi cultivation techniques from the last era? Lu Ming asked again. No, I'm just a box. The box replied. Lu Ming was speechless. What a useless box. Then why did you let me in? You don't know anything. Lu Ming complained. First, you have to understand that I didn't let you in. You came in by yourself. The box replied. Lu Ming was speechless. In addition, you came in. You can obtain an arm of the human king. That's your supreme opportunity. Why are you complaining? The box replied again. Lu Ming's eyes immediately lit up. You're saying that I can obtain an arm of the human king, but I can't open your box at all. Look at the surroundings, it's full of rune formations. Since this formation can seal an arm of the human king, it's definitely not something I can break open, right? Lu Ming said. The human king, as the peak expert of the last era who suppressed the Eldritch continent, must have unfathomable strength. It was definitely not as simple as the origin realm. Perhaps it was the legendary realm, transcendence. Transcendence beyond the universe, transcendence beyond reincarnation, true immortality. Of course, that realm was just a legend. Since the birth of the Eldritch universe, no one had reached it. However, the Eldritch continent of the last era was so prosperous and powerful. It was not strange that someone had reached it. As for the person who set up the array, he was able to kill the king of killers and seal his corpse. How could Lu Ming compare to him? Don't worry, too much time has passed. The sealing power has weakened too much. Moreover, you happen to be a human. You can break this sealing formation. Do you see those 8 altars? As long as you drip your blood on those flames, the flames on the altars will be extinguished. Once the flames are extinguished, the formation will be broken and you will be able to open me and obtain the arm of the human king. Words kept appearing on the chest. Why can't you speak? Lu Ming asked. Generally speaking, whether it was a weapon or something else with spiritual intelligence, it could at least speak with its spiritual sense. Please, I'm just a box. The box answered. What else could Lu Ming say? Human blood can extinguish the flames on the 8 altars and break the seals? Is it that simple? Lu Ming asked. It's that simple. The box answered. Your original target wasn't me, he said. It must have been that C-sect disciple out there. He's also a human, and his bloodline is even purer than mine. Lu Ming asked again. That's right, but later I realized that you're actually more suitable than him. The box answered. So, everything was arranged by you. C-sect's grandpa's crimson stone was also given out by you. I'm really curious. As the box that sealed the arm of the human king, why did you let it out? Lu Ming asked. Clearly, Lu Ming didn't believe this box because there were too many suspicious points. He finally understood why C-sect's grandpa could obtain the crimson stone. It was most likely this box deliberately let it out. This box was obviously used to seal the arm of the human king. Now, it wanted to let the arm out. Wasn't that suspicious? Kid, are you doubting me? Let me tell you, my spiritual intelligence was born later. When I was born, I was already here. What does sealing the arm of the human king have to do with me? Also, the one who arranged all this was not me, but the arm of the human king. The box said. So that's how it is. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The arm of the human king arranged all this. Could it be that the consciousness of the human king hasn't dissipated and is still alive? Lu Ming asked in shock. The human king is definitely dead. His soul was extinguished long ago. The arm of the human king did this out of instinct. It came from the instinct of the arm of the human king. It instinctively wanted to break free. Therefore, after the seal weakened, a trace of blood seeped out of the arm and gave birth to the Yen clan. When the Yen clan gave birth to a truly powerful genius, the arm could be released. The box said. Then why did you choose me? If C-sect came, he could also release the arm of the human king. Lu Ming asked. It's very simple. Although C-sect inherited a trace of the human king's bloodline and has great potential, he is still inferior to you. Although your human bloodline is not strong, you are strong and have boundless potential. So, you are more suitable. After releasing the arm of the human king, you have an even more difficult task, which is to find the other parts of the human king's corpse and release them so that the body can return to its original position. The box said. Return the body of the human king to its original position? why do I have to do this? This process is probably very dangerous. Lu Ming said. Although the human king was the ancestor of the human race and returning his body to its original position was something that should be done, this process was definitely very dangerous. However, this process was definitely very dangerous. It concerned his life. Lu Ming was not so foolish as to agree foolishly. Kid, it looks like you still don't know the importance of the human king's body. The human king was too powerful. Although he is dead and his soul has been extinguished, the body he left behind is indestructible. If you can return his body to its original position and control it, you will be able to dominate the world, becoming invincible throughout history. The box said. Dominate the world, becoming invincible throughout history? Can you kill a reciprocity cultivator? Lu Ming asked. A mere reciprocity cultivator can be killed with a flick of my finger. The box replied. This time, Lu Ming was truly tempted. If he could obtain the body of the human king, would he not be invincible? Would he not be able to flatten the heavenly palace? Reshape the structure of the universe? Then, the taboo sword ancestor Tang Feng saw a corner of the future, saying that there would be a bitter war. Could it be resolved? This was completely feasible. Furthermore, after careful analysis, he found that there were no flaws in the box's words. The arm of the human king instinctively wanted to break the seal and fuse with the other parts of the human king's body to form a complete body. That was why the Yen clan was born. The red stone contained a trace of the human king's bloodline. Anyone in the Yen clan who could fuse with it could freely enter the ancestral mountain and release the arm of the human king. Then, they could take the arm of the human king to search for the other parts of the human king's body. All of this was reasonable and logical. Kid, this is a great opportunity. It's up to you whether you choose or not. If you don't choose, there will naturally be others. After all, there are countless people in the Yen clan. There will always be someone who will come here. Another sentence appeared on the box. Then, it became silent and did not say a word. All right, I'll try. Lu Ming pondered for a long time before nodding in the end. He still decided to try. If he could really gather the body of the human king, he could resolve the crisis of the celestial race in one fell swoop. This way, his family and friends could cultivate in peace. Otherwise, once a great war broke out, no one could say for sure what would happen. No one could guarantee that they would survive the bitter war. Chapter 4601. Lu Ming walked to one of the altars and squeezed out a drop of blood from his finger onto the flame. With a puff, the flame was extinguished. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he walked to the second altar. Using the same trick, he squeezed out a drop of blood and dripped it onto the flame. Then, the flame was extinguished again. It's really strange. This array is clearly sealing the arm of the human king, but it can be broken with the blood of a human. Lu Ming couldn't help but have a new doubt in his heart. He really couldn't figure out the principle behind this. In the end, Lu Ming shook his head. Let's break the seal first. If there's really any danger, I'll just leave immediately. Puff, puff, soon, the flames on the 8 altars were all extinguished by Lu Ming. However, the surrounding runes didn't react at all. They couldn't see any abnormality in the array being broken. The array is broken just like that? Lu Ming asked the bronze chest. Yes, you can open me now. The bronze chest replied. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Without hesitation, he condensed 2 big hands with his taboo energy and grabbed the chest from a distance. Then, he opened it. This time, it was very easy. The bronze chest was easily opened. As soon as the bronze chest was opened, an aura spread out from it. This aura was majestic, vast, and ancient. In front of this aura, Lu Ming felt very small. It was as if an ant had to kneel down in front of a divine dragon. Lu Ming circulated his taboo energy with all his might to prevent himself from kneeling down. This aura is too similar to the aura of the ocean sect bloodline. However, it's much more vast and superior. Is this the bloodline of the human king? Lu Ming felt his breathing become heavy. After the ocean sect fused with the red stone, it emitted a powerful pressure and a figure would appear. That figure wore a crown and a royal robe. It held a royal sword in its hand. It was very likely to be the human king. However, it was far inferior to the aura emitted by the chest in front of him. Lu Ming looked carefully and saw that there was really an arm in the bronze chest. It was a right arm. However, it wasn't made of flesh and blood. Instead, it was made of stone. The chest, why is it a stone arm? Lu Ming asked. It's very normal. This is the self-protection of the human king's arm. Petrification can seal essence energy and slow down the loss of essence energy. The box answered. Lu Ming nodded. Now, he basically believed what the box said. This was because what the box had said was true. After a while, the aura of the human king arm disappeared. Extraordinary returned to ordinary, as if it had really become an ordinary arm made of stone, quietly lying in the chest. Lu Ming walked over, cupped his fists, and bowed deeply to the arm. After all, this was the arm of the human king. It could be said that this was the ancestor of the human race. It was worthy of Lu Ming's bow. After bowing, Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the human king's arm. Out of Lu Ming's expectations, it was very light, only 100 jin or so. Lu Ming originally thought that the arm of a human would be very heavy. Must I gather all the bodies of the human king before I can use it? Can't I use it now? Lu Ming muttered. With your conditions, you can actually barely use it. A sentence appeared on the chest. I can use it too. Lu Ming was delighted. Yes, you are very strong, and the power you control is no small matter. You can barely borrow a trace of the human king's arm's power. As long as you circulate your power and let the human king's right arm fuse with your arm, you can temporarily unleash a trace of the human king's arm's power. However, from my observation, you can only use it for a breath's time at most before all of your power is drained. The chest answered. A breath's time. Lu Ming muttered, I just don't know how strong I can unleash. If it's very strong, a breath's time can be used as a trump card. Lu Ming planned to find a chance to give it a try after leaving this place. Chest, how many parts of the human king's body are there? Lu Ming asked. A total of 7 parts, 4 limbs, head, torso, and heart. The chest said. So many parts, where are they scattered? Do you know? Lu Ming asked. I'm not sure. You have to find it yourself. Don't ask me everything. You have to know that I'm just a chest. The chest said. Lu Ming was speechless. He was really speechless. Where was he going to find it? How big was the chaos universe and the universe ruins? Finding the other 6 parts of the human king's body in the vast chaos universe and the universe ruins was 10,000 times harder than finding a needle in a haystack. In the end, Lu Ming could only put the bronze chest into the chaos ring. Then, he looked around and found nothing else, so he left. Hai Zong was still in the blood pool. Lu Ming guessed that this blood pool contained a trace of blood from the human king's arm. This was definitely a great opportunity for Hai Zong. Lu Ming sat there cross-legged, took out the chaos crystal, and began to absorb and refine it. As he refined the chaos crystal, he waited. A day later, the liquid in the blood pool was completely absorbed by Hai Zong. Hai Zong's aura was constantly rising. Now, he had reached the heavenly god realm. This speed was too shocking. When Lu Ming first met Hai Zong's cultivation was only in the heavenly emperor realm. He was not even in the void god realm. But now, he had reached the heavenly god realm. At the same time, above Hai Zong's head, the figure wearing a crown, wearing a royal robe, and holding a royal sword appeared again, exuding a powerful pressure. Hai Zong's bloodline power was stronger. His potential and talent had also been greatly improved. Is this the human king's bloodline? I wonder how far Haizong's cultivation will go in the future. Should I take him as my disciple? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. To be honest, Lu Ming was very tempted. Haizong's talent and potential were definitely strong. His future achievements were limitless. If he took him as his disciple, he would be a great help to Lu Ming in the future. However, Lu Ming really did not have the time to teach him. Let's bring him back first. Senior Fei Huang and the others can train him. Lu Ming thought. Big brother Lu Ming. Haizong retracted his aura and came to Lu Ming's side. Congratulations, Haizong. Your cultivation has increased by another level. Now, let's go. Lu Ming said. All right. Haizong nodded. Although he was a little puzzled as to why they did not enter the mountain to take a look, he admired Lu Ming very much. Whatever Lu Ming said, he would do. Their exit went smoothly. Haizong led them through the lifeline of the ancestral mountain and arrived outside. Big brother Lu Ming, where are you going next? Haizong asked. I'm going to leave the Heavenly Star continent to travel and adventure. Lu Ming said. Haizong's face changed and said, then, if the heavenly human tribe comes again, what should we do? Chapter 4602. Lu Ming also frowned slightly. This was also what he was worried about. Yiling Tianshou's father was a heavenly venerate. That heavenly venerate definitely knew that Yiling Tianshou was in the Heavenly Star continent. Now that Yiling Tianshou was killed, that heavenly venerate might already know. After all, if a person's soul was tied to an item, the corresponding item would immediately sense it when the person died. This kind of thing already existed in the small world. For example, life tablets. When a person died, the life tablet would shatter. However, such things were relatively rare in the Great Desolate Universe. They were mainly used to create life tablets, which required a trace of soul energy. Although just a trace was enough, it would still affect the soul, causing the soul to be incomplete. This was detrimental to cultivation. Hence, in the Great Desolate Universe, especially some strong outstanding talents, very rarely did this in pursuit of perfection. However, the other party involved a heavenly venerate. Who knew if there were other ways to sense Yiling Tianshou's safety? If the other party knew, they would quickly rush over. Even if they could not sense it now, they would discover it sooner or later. It was just a matter of time. After the heavenly venerate discovered it, it would be hard to preserve the Heavenly Star continent under his rage. The Yen race would also find it hard to survive. What should Lu Ming do? This was also what troubled him. Why don't you just use the Great Desolate Ring to move the entire Heavenly Star continent away? Bone Demon's voice came from Xiao Chen's Sea of Consciousness. How is it possible to put the Heavenly Star continent into the Great Desolate Ring? How can I have such a cultivation? Lu Ming said. It was not that he had not thought of this method before. The Great Desolate Ring was indeed big enough. The area inside was definitely larger than the Heavenly Star continent. It was more than enough to store the entire Heavenly Star continent. If Xiao Chen put the Heavenly Star continent into the Great Desolate Ring, he could make it float above the Great Desolate Ring. This was because the Great Desolate Ring was completely under Lu Ming's control. However, Xiao Chen could not do it. If he wanted to put the entire Heavenly Star continent into the Great Desolate Ring, he would need a lot of strength to control the Great Desolate Ring. With his current cultivation, it was not enough. Even if he broke through to the third layer Divine Master Realm, it was far from enough. Didn't you just obtain the Human King's arm and want to test its strength? Isn't this a good time to try it? Use the Human King's arm's strength to control the Great Desolate Ring and see if you can put the Heavenly Star continent into it. Guemo said. Lu Ming pondered. That's right, the arm of a human king. He had almost overlooked it. It might really work. Lu Ming decided to give it a try. However, there was still some preparation work to be done before the experiment. Immediately, Lu Ming and Hai Zong returned to the deep lake abyssal abyss. Lu Ming told Defiant God Heaven his idea. The reason why he told Defiant God Heaven was that he wanted him to help stabilize the hearts of the people. Otherwise, if the heavenly star continent was suddenly sucked into the Great Desolate Ring, the entire Yen race would be in chaos. When Against God's Heaven and the others heard Lu Ming's idea, they were dumbfounded. This idea was simply too crazy. The stellar sky continent was so vast, and its territory was incomparably vast. How could such a huge world be stored in a ring? Was that even possible? Fortunately, it was Lu Ming who said it. If it was someone else, they would probably despise them. Is this really okay? Defiant God Heaven was still skeptical. No matter what, we have to give it a try. Otherwise, when the stronger experts of the heavenly human race arrive, the Yen race will definitely be annihilated. The entire stellar sky continent might not be preserved, Lu Ming said. Alright, then let's give it a try. Senior Lu Ming, go ahead and do it. Leave the matter of stabilizing the hearts of the people to us. Defiant God Heaven Dao. Lu Ming did not delay any longer. He soared into the sky and rushed into the sky above the stellar sky continent. Looking down from afar, the stellar sky continent seemed to have become the size of a table. Lu Ming took out the Great Desolate Ring and injected forbidden energy. The Great Desolate Ring floated in the air, and a huge vortex appeared above the stellar sky continent. The vortex emitted a strong attractive force, but this attractive force was far from enough to suck the stellar sky continent in. Let's try the Human King's right arm. Lu Ming's mind moved, and the bronze box appeared in his hand. He opened the bronze box and took out the Human King's right arm. Merge! Lu Ming shouted and injected forbidden energy into the Human King's right arm. Buzz! The Human King's right arm vibrated, and a hazy radiance spread from it. Then, it turned into a ray of light and merged with Lu Ming's right arm. One could see that Lu Ming's right arm overlapped with the Human King's right arm. At this moment, Lu Ming felt an incomparably strong energy spreading from his right arm to his entire body. This was especially true for his right arm. The energy was even stronger. Lu Ming had a feeling that he could shatter the stellar sky continent with a single punch. However, his expression changed in the next moment. This was because he felt all the forbidden energy in his body rushing towards his right arm. At this speed, it would take at most one breath for all the energy in his body to be sucked dry. Great Desolate Ring, collect it. Lu Ming roared and controlled the energy in his right arm with all his might, injecting this energy into the Great Desolate Ring. This was also because the Great Desolate Ring was of an extremely high grade. If it were any other weapon, such a strong influx of energy would have directly exploded. When this energy entered the Great Desolate Ring, the Great Desolate Ring vibrated intensely and emitted a dazzling radiance. That whirlpool suddenly became bigger, covering the sky and the sun. It enveloped the entire stellar sky continent. A strong suction force enveloped the stellar sky continent. The stellar sky continent immediately shook and flew towards the Great Desolate Ring. Furthermore, it quickly shrank and flew into the Great Desolate Ring, disappearing. Success! Lu Ming was overjoyed. He immediately kept the Human King's right arm and stored it in the bronze box. Hoo-hoo, Lu Ming panted heavily. In that short moment, 90% of his energy had been sucked out by the Human King's right arm. The bronze box said that with his cultivation, he could control the Human King's right arm for at most one breath's time. It seemed like it was true. Right now, his condition was extremely bad. Any random divine lord could take his life. Of course, he still had Qiuqiu to protect him. Right now, there was no time to recover his cultivation. Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness condensed in the Great Desolate Ring. The stellar sky continent was suspended high in the sky. It was very far from the original Great Desolate Continent. There wouldn't be too much of an impact between them. From Lu Ming's perspective, it seemed like he was looking at two different skies. Not bad, not bad. It's good that it won't affect the original Great Desolate Continent. If it does, I'll have to find a place to release the Stellar Sky Continent. Lu Ming smiled. At this moment, the Stellar Sky Continent was in chaos. In the eyes of the Stellar Sky Continent's Yen tribe, it felt as if the stars had changed. This naturally caused them to panic. However, God-defying heaven was already prepared. They were sending people to calm the people down. Lu Ming didn't need to care about what happened next. Lu Ming withdrew from the Great Desolate Ring. Then, he took out a piece of Great Desolate Crystal and absorbed the energy within. At the same time, his body turned into a beam of light and flew out, leaving this place. Chapter 4603. He could no longer stay in this region. Lu Ming left and flew into the distance. As he flew, he absorbed desolation crystals to replenish his energy. Along the way, he passed by several barren continents, but Lu Ming did not stop. This place was still too far from the original location of the Heavenly Star Continent. If Yiling Tianshou's father arrived and a heavenly venerate went berserk, the nearby continents would also be affected. Lu Ming planned to fly further away. After flying for a day and a night, Lu Ming finally stopped on a barren continent and found a secluded place. Lu Ming sat down cross-legged, took out desolation crystals, and quickly absorbed them. Before long, Lu Ming's cultivation finally recovered to its peak state. Now, where should I go? A human king's body has no direction. Lu Ming pondered. Returning to the Heaven Destroyer Station was clearly not what Lu Ming wanted. He had not been out for long, and Xian Yanxing and the others were definitely still in seclusion. In the end, Lu Ming decided to continue adventuring in the ruins of the universe. He would cultivate as he traveled. After his trip to the Heavenly Star Continent, Lu Ming was even more certain that only by constantly adventuring could his cultivation continue to rise. If he had not come to the Heavenly Star Continent to travel, how could Lu Ming's cultivation have risen to the second layer of the Divine Master Realm so quickly? Moreover, he had around 120,000 desolation crystals, enough for him to break through several layers. Furthermore, Qiuqiu had reached the third layer of the Divine Master Realm. This was something that could not be achieved in the peaceful seclusion of the Heaven Destroyer Station. According to the corner of the future that the Forbidden Sword ancestor Tang Feng had seen, there would be a great war in the near future. He did not have much time left, so he had to make the best use of his time and raise his cultivation as quickly as possible. At the very least, he had to be at the Origin Realm before the Great War. Although Divine Masters could be called peak experts of the primitive universe, once a Great War erupted that involved the universe, Divine Masters would not be enough. They could fall at any time. Only those at the Origin Realm could barely protect themselves. He had to reach the Origin Realm as soon as possible. The Heavenly Star Continent should be the core of the Heavenly Star Continent. Even if there are opportunities in the other continents, there should not be many. Now that the Heavenly Star Continent has been stored in my Desolation Ring, there is no longer any place for me to stay. I should go to other regions. Where should I go? Lu Ming pondered. In the end, Lu Ming decided to go to the depths of the Heavenly Star Continent. The deeper one went into the ruins of the universe, the more dangerous it would be, but the more opportunities there would be. However, before heading to the depths of the universe ruins, Lu Ming still needed to be in seclusion for a while. Shao Qian had to raise his cultivation first. He could not afford to waste the 120,000 great desolate crystals on hand. Whoosh! Lu Ming cast the transference skill and left this place, flying further away. Heavenly 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 heavens, heavens, heavenly heavens. This was someone from the celestial clan. His hair and beard were all white, but his aura was like a deep sea, incomparably terrifying. Tianshou. Tianshou. God damn it. Who killed you? The old man roared furiously as a terrifying presence permeated the surroundings. Cracks appeared in space, extending into the distance. It was an extremely shocking sight. The old man was Yiling Tianshou's father, an extremely powerful heavenly exalt. There used to be a continent here, but it's gone now. Apart from origin realm existences, no one has the strength to do so. However, it doesn't matter if you're at origin realm or some other cultivation realm. You can't escape after killing my son. You will die. I will definitely find out who killed my son. The old man roared furiously. His voice was filled with cold killing intent. After that, he sat down cross-legged. His body glowed, as though he had fused with the entire space. His body was like this space. Nothing in this space could escape his senses. He sensed for 7 days. 7 days later, the old man suddenly opened his eyes. They shone brightly, piercing through space like 2 sharp swords. They pierced 2 holes in an extremely distant desolate continent. Forbidden power. A forbidden power appeared on the heavenly star continent not long ago. Who is it? Tang Feng or Fei Huang? No, the remnant forbidden power is very weak. It's only at the level of a divine master. It's not the 2 of them. It's Lu Ming. Yes, it must be that little bastard. The old man's voice was extremely cold. It had to be said that this person's methods were truly unfathomable. Even Lu Ming had never thought that this person would still be able to sense the remnant presence in space even after the heavenly star continent had been taken away. He had determined that Lu Ming had been here. The old man was very certain that the person who had killed his son was Lu Ming. Although he did not know what method Lu Ming had used to take away the heavenly star continent, only Lu Ming fit the criteria based on the strength of the forbidden power. Little bastard, you dare to kill my son? I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. A terrifying light flickered through the old man's eyes. He then closed his eyes and continued to sense. After a period of time, the old man suddenly opened his eyes and looked towards the depths of the universe ruins. According to the remnant presence, that kid should have gone to the depths of the universe ruins. The old man whispered and then turned into a rainbow light, heading towards the depths of the universe ruins. This direction was the direction that Lu Ming had gone. Not long after, the old man came to the continent where Lu Ming had stopped to recover. Could he be hiding here? Little bastard, get out here. The old man shouted and stood in the sky above the continent. He looked down from above and blasted out a palm. Suddenly, the power of heavenly punishment erupted. Endless lightning fell from the old man's palm and enveloped the entire continent. Boom! 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 Destructive explosions occurred all over the continent. In the end, the continent even exploded, turning into smaller continents. No one? Could it be that he has already left? The old man frowned and continued to sit cross-legged, probing. After a period of time, the old man opened his eyes and said coldly, "Sure enough, he has already left." "Humph, kid, no matter where you escape to, I will catch up to you." After saying that, the old man turned into a rainbow light and chased towards the depths of the universe ruins. After a period of time, he left the heavenly star region and entered the boundless void. However, after chasing for a while in the void, he suddenly stopped. Because Lu Ming's aura had disappeared here. Damn it, what's going on? Why did the aura disappear without a trace after arriving here? What happened? Could it be that the kid encountered a cosmic storm? The old man growled. In fact, his guess was right. Lu Ming had really encountered a cosmic storm. He had left the heavenly star region and planned to go to another region before finding a place to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time. Yiling Tianshou's father was a heavenly venerable. To Lu Ming, a heavenly venerable was unfathomable and unpredictable. For safety reasons, it was best to stay as far away from the heavenly star region as possible. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.